Howdy, everybody.
Hi, how y'all doing?
I'm doing good because this is the first episode we're doing of Say it, Uncle Bill, say it.
Of the dead.
And we're going to go ahead and get rolling here because people are looking forward to this show. We're going to do some introductions, and every time we have him on, he's got his own theme music. One of these guys does, so we're going to have to play it for him. Welcome.
Slipcase, Michael Bell, Slipcase, Michael Bell, Slipcase, Michael Bell, Slip. Get slippy with it, slip it, motherfucker. Slipcase, Michael Bell, oh, goddamn. Get slippy with that motherfucker. Make some DVD extras, goddamn, hurry.
I want to watch some DVD. Slipcase, suck it down.
Yeah.
That's my favorite piece of music that has ever been composed ever.
It's your wrestling theme.
Best intro ever, too.
It is. It's the I'm never going to have an intro that good again ever.
And I was looking for like Godfather music for this next guy, but I couldn't. Like, we would get copyright strike all day long because he is the Don when it comes to, boutique Blu-ray labels. I would say he's the very first. The man, Don May Jr. What's going on, sir?
Not too much. Lucky to be here. We can go over all that stuff later. But
we're definitely going to talk
about
that.
After the events of the last year, I'm actually lucky to be alive. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
he's had some shit, folks.
Yeah.
I don't think much has come out about that. I don't know how much you've talked about.
No, nothing. No, we kept it kind of under wraps, and close friends of Synapse knew what was going on. Basically what happened was, starting last year, I had all these weird medical issues. And then in January, I got sepsis and I had about 48 hours to live. And the doctors saved my life. I went to the doctor today and he even said, the first thing he said was, welcome back to the land of the living, because it was, I've never been that close to death before, but when a doctor comes in and says, you maybe got a couple of days, it kind of wakes you up and sort of puts perspective on everything, So, and like tonight, I've got like a little issue here with my angioedema attack coming on, but I didn't want to cancel. I didn't want to bow out. So we can talk until if this gets worse, I might have to bow out, but I think I'll be okay for the duration.
Good deal. Yeah, we appreciate it for sure, and glad everything is.
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, I'm sitting on the floor because the sepsis, even though it didn't kill me, it fucked up my legs. So when I walk, the tops of my feet and my calves like hurt when I walk, and they fill up with fluid. So I'm not downstairs with all the video games this time. I'm upstairs in my living room. So sitting on the floor.
I mean, it's aptly titled, though. It's May of the Dead.
It is May of it's the month of May, for sure.
But we're glad, that you're in the land of living.
Yeah, me too, I mean, when the priest comes in the hospital and starts giving you the speech, you kind of like go, oh, shit, this is real, Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. But luckily, I made it out. Not 100% unscathed, but that's just one of the things that happened to me in the last 12 months. So for all those folks on the forums that are complaining that it'll take 20 years for Synapse to do something, this past year, with two guys in an office and one guy, I was in the hospital I had 4 surgeries in the last 12 months.
Jeez.
So, and recovery times and everything else, but I'm still rolling, so we're getting back into the swing of things. So things.
Well, you were otherwise pretty healthy before all that happened, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it was just one thing after another. It was like a cyst on my foot that took a year to go away. Then I had a gallstone that was tearing up my insides. Then I had a hernia operation. Then I got this from Pfizer. The Pfizer booster caused me to get angioedema attacks for the last 6 months. And hopefully they'll go away. But I haven't had one for a month. Of course, the night that you guys want me on, an hour ago, this started happening again. So, and then in January, I got the sepsis, and it almost killed me. So it's been a rough road, but I'm still alive. So.
Well, hopefully the second half of the year is a lot
Yeah.
better for you.
Yeah, I made a joke with Jerry. I said to him the other day, I go, well, after all this, now what? Maybe I'll have like a ruptured appendix or something, you know.
No, I'm
Something
voting
else
for
will
rickets. I think rickets or scurvy.
Scurvy.
Right. I'll get
Scurvy is what I'll
scurvy, you know.
Lots of lemons.
So something. But I'm here, and I'm just happy to be alive at this point because it was a rough go. I spent 6 days in the hospital, and they gave me about 2 days to live when I got in there. And
Wow.
it was
So
pretty
what
rough.
were you? How did you know? I mean, what were your symptoms, Don? Like, what?
Well,
was
there
going
weren't
on?
any. Well, I shouldn't say there weren't any. I'm 55. So basically what was going on was I went into my doctor to get a checkup because I needed to get my colonoscopy and everything. You know, at 55, you should take care of yourself and do that kind of thing.
I dread
So I
it.
went to the doctor, and, I don't know if you've been to the doctor since COVID, but you walk in there, and the first thing they do is take your temperature. They don't want you going in there if you've got a fever. I had 101.3 fever, and I didn't feel it, And they go, well, you got a fever. They took my temperature 4 times. It was like 103.1, 104, 103, 104. And they're like, you've got a wacky fever. They tested me for COVID and RSV and the flu, all came back negative. And they go, well, okay. And they took some blood from me, and they were testing, some other things for the allergy that I had. And I went home, and this was Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was getting a little sicker each day, but it wasn't. I was like, man, maybe I got walking pneumonia or something. And I was laying in bed on Friday night watching TV. And when I woke up Saturday, it was 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was in a hospital room in recovery from a surgery. So imagine you're at home, you go to bed in your own bed, and when you wake up, what you think is the next morning, you're in a totally different building, totally different place. And I had no idea what was going on because I live alone. So I'm like, where the hell am I? What the fuck happened? And they explained to me that on Saturday morning, even though I have no recollection of it, I don't remember anything because the sepsis was killing me at this point. I walked into the emergency room at 7:30 in the morning. They said I looked like a zombie from The Walking Dead. I was just slow. I was just walking in. And when they asked me what was wrong, I complained about pain in my my legs, in my hip and legs. And they said, okay. They brought me in. They took blood from me. And again, I don't remember any of this. And I had my white blood cell count was next to nothing. And they knew that was a big problem. So they said, well, you complained of pain. They took me in for a CT scan, and they found an abscess in my left leg, kind of like near my left butt cheek. And it had been rupturing and giving me sepsis. And I had no idea it was there. Didn't feel it. And they said, you didn't feel it because, your rear end is just fatty tissue. It was way in there, and you just didn't even know it was there. And then it finally ruptured, and it started killing me. And they told me when I got in there, they said, you're lucky you got in when you did because you had about 2 days. If you would have waited till Monday, you probably would have died. And so that was what happened in January of this year, the last week of January. It was really crazy. And they still don't know why it happened. And that's what is the scariest part of it. It's like, well, how does this happen? How did the sepsis occur? They don't know. No idea. They were like, it could have been a hair, like an ingrown hair. It could have been, you ate. The doctor today, he was like, you could have chewed an almond, and it, like, the sharp piece of the almond might have scratched you on the inside as it was coming out and caused the sepsis. He says it could have been anything. But the bottom line is I'm lucky to be here. And I guess, if you believe in such things, it's like somebody got me to the hospital. My brain woke up and got me to the hospital on Saturday. And I don't have any recollection of it And they said, had you not got in here, you would have been dead in 2 days.
It's crazy.
And
The
as it
whole
was,
thing
I
is
was
crazy.
in the hospital for 6 days because they had me on morphine and everything else. The antibiotic they were giving me wasn't working. They were giving me Cipro, which, you know, was like they give that for anthrax. And they said, your sepsis is so bad, the sepsis isn't dying, it's actually growing in your bloodstream. So we need to get you something else. And all my life, I was told by my parents I was allergic to penicillin. You know, ampicillin, amoxicillin, penicillin, anything with cillin on the end of it. They were like, I remember when I was a kid, you had those little medical bracelets, you know, that's like, if you get in an accident, you know, don't let my son have penicillin if he's unconscious, because, you know, and they said the only thing that's going to kill this is probably something like a penicillin, and you're allergic. And I said, well, I'm going to die or I might die. So let's do the I might die thing. And they gave me the penicillin, and it actually worked. And I must have outgrown the allergy. Thank God. And it took about another 4 days for it to finally go away. But had I not gotten there, I would have been dead. So
Kyle's got a good
crazy.
point here.
Huh?
Make some people think twice
Mhm.
before they start complaining about Blu-ray releases and how long it takes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we're just two guys.
There's other things that can happen. In life,
You know, well, like the convent, for example, you know, people are like, where's the convent? And Mike knows this because he helped with this one during COVID. We got the convent before COVID. And if you've seen the streaming version of the convent on like any streaming service like Amazon or whatever, or on Pluto TV or wherever it plays, it looks like shit. It's from an old print that's beat up, that they didn't even really color correct, and it's, you know, it's the uncut version, but it looks like crap. And I went to the licensor and I'm like, look, I can't do this in 4K this way. We got to figure this out. And Mike, I can't remember if it was you or if I had talked to you about it, but there were materials for the film at a place called Technicolor in Camarillo, California.
Yeah, you mentioned
Yeah.
that you were having trouble, and I went and inquired on them, and they had stuff.
Because you knew some people there, and they confirmed that they had the material. So they had the inner negative with the uncut and the mag tracks and all this stuff. But because of COVID, everybody was closed, right? And you couldn't get anybody on the phone. Nobody was emailing back. It took us 2.5 years just to get the fucking material so that I could start the convent. And the same thing happened with Popcorn. The audio was terrible. We only had like an optical track, but Sony had the mags. And it took them 2 years to even bother with me. Their legal department at Sony was like, yeah, whatever. You're at the bottom of the pile. We'll get to you when we get to you. And like creepers with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers had material. Took them 1.5 years, almost 2 years to get us the material. So these kinds of things do happen that cause delays. You don't want it to be a delay. You want to get it out as soon as you can. But I'm a perfectionist, and I'm going to take as long as it takes to get it and get it done to the best of my ability. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to say, okay, well, we'll just use that print instead, and I'll just clean it up a little bit. You know, I'm not going to do that. If the negative is somewhere, if the materials are somewhere, I'm going to wait for the fucking materials to be in my hands before I start something. So there's a million different things that can go wrong in situations like that. So
Where the hell are you at, Slippy?
Where am I at?
Somebody-
I'm at a loft in Pittsburgh right now.
Holy shit. Hey, Slippy.
Yeah.
Slippy.
you should put like a green screen like with an ocean behind you. Or something.
Somebody said, why is he sitting on a fruit roll up by my side?
No, this is a very
That's a
eclectic
big
loft.
fucking fruit roll up.
No, it's made out of an old industrial building, and it's really cool here. But it's been furnished with a lot of very interesting odds and ends, and so this was a very comfortable chair. But it has a huge high back. It looks like I'm sitting on a Lifesavers wrapper,
Right.
basically. And but no,
You got,
it's
okay,
great.
if you're in Pittsburgh, you got to be working on something for Romero. So what is it? There ain't no doubt in my mind.
No,
don't
I
even
think
wanna
he's
guess.
working on striking distance, actually.
Oh yeah, no, clearly. Clearly.
But I will.
I'm
Okay.
not.
The
There's
best
gonna be
movie
plenty
come
of
out of
there's
Pittsburgh
gonna be
is
plenty of
striking
time.
distance.
There's gonna be plenty of time left to bust Slippy's balls about all this stuff that he's been doing recently.
Oh yeah, I've got
But-
some stuff ready.
Yeah, but I'm curious, Don. So, like, now I'm thinking, what stage was Trick or Treat at when you got sick? Like, was that even a thing, or was that
Oh,
like later on?
It
or-
wasn't a
No.
thing, you know.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, this, you know, Mike will speak more about it. I'm the technical guy. I'm just kind of supervising the color and the sound and putting it together, that kind of thing.
I've got a clip here,
Mhm.
and I just want an explanation from Slippy. This
Uh-oh,
was
what'd
in
you do?
I think this was in last time you were on September of 2021. Now,
Yeah.
let's just watch. It's like 20 seconds.
Yeah. It speaks.
Should I go?
That's a possibility. That could happen. Yeah.
Trick or treat, trick or
I
treat,
would
maybe.
love to see. I would love to see.
Trick or treat. Yeah.
I would love trick or treat.
Surprised I haven't seen anybody mention that yet. So
Yeah, no one's mentioned that ever at all.
the
No one
Look
knows
at his
anything about that.
face.
Film.
so.
He
Yeah,
knows something.
no one's mentioned that ever.
Busted.
Not busted with anything. When was that show recorded?
That is when I knew. I didn't know who was bringing it out, but I knew that you knew something, motherfucker.
Okay, first of all, when was that show recorded?
September of 2021.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
September 2021.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know it. Nothing was going on at that time. That was 100% the truth. There was absolutely nothing going on with Trick or Treat at that time.
No. We just started it not too long
Yeah.
ago.
This whole thing finally came into focus just in the past couple months. That's it. Before that, there was literally nothing happening on it. So
Okay. Well, here's Exhibit B.
Oh no.
But wait.
There's more. I think this is just an image file. Let's get it here. This was just like the 8th of April. Just between us. What's the tentative date for Trick or Treat? Uncle Bill is the one that can't keep secrets like animals.
That's great.
Not even a clue. We go back a long ways, Felcher. I'm offended.
Well, it's
No, I know,
just nice
and
that
April-
it's coming out soon, right?
yeah, I at this point, I just think it's important for you to hear this. Kiss my ass.
No.
It's just, because seriously, I at that point, there was nothing 100% that I could say. And again,
Why
this all
not?
came about, well, because that's the way it goes sometimes. You can't just talk about anything
I
you
know
want,
you
whatever the fuck
didn't
you
sign
want to.
We
And then
don't
somebody
ever say
somebody will come
anything.
along and go, "Hey, I'll go after that one instead."
Right, you got to be,
Yeah.
you got to really play this thing the right way, because if you leak out the wrong information at the wrong time, it could quash the whole deal. And Trick or Treat was tricky to,
Yeah.
this one took a long time to get sorted out. And the last thing in the world you want to do is fuck it up at the last second just because you're anxious to talk about it. There was
Right,
nothing
right,
personal. It wasn't like, and don't take it personally. Because it's not like we told everybody else and just said, "Don't tell the Dead Pit guys," because fuck them.
We had to
Let me
keep
tell
it
you
a secret for
Let
a
me tell you
while.
something. He took it personally. He's like
I
Michael
did.
Jordan. He took everything personally. He's like,
You told your little your podcast buddies before us. That upset me, Felcher.
Well, if I cared, that would be pretty sad. But I don't really so much. So that's kind of how it works. And if I'm coming off as a bit of a dick, don't really care. No, I am. I've come. I'm about to turn 50, so I realized a while ago that it's like I'm over it.
Born to be
No, I'm
Rad, though,
just
this is a
not-
good question about Trick or Treat. How did this come about? Because this is never, and a lot of people they say, oh, it fucking come out in Germany.
Hmm.
This is the first official release since the VHS tape, right? Yeah, I mean, I know here in the US.
Well, no. There was a legitimate DVD release that Platinum had out back in like 2007.
I thought that was like a bootleg thing.
No, it wasn't actually. It was a shitty release, and one of the worst DVD covers of all time.
Yeah, I have it.
But no, that was a legitimate release. It would take 4 hours to go into what has happened to this movie over the years. And none of it had anything to do with music rights, by the way. So that rumor needs to go away. When I was working in Anchor Bay back, 17 years ago, people swore that we had announced it and that we had pulled it because of music rights issues. We never announced it. We never had
that.
Yeah, we never had the rights to it. I was there. I managed the release schedule. Trust me. We never had it.
I know
and it was
Jay
never coming
wanted
out.
it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, everyone. Yeah, we all wanted it. I wanted it back then.
Was that actually a
thing
rumor? I don't even remember that.
I remember.
It was not just a rumor. It was posted as a fact on numerous forums for years. Anchor Bay released it or was going to release it, and then they had to cancel it. It's like, no.
That's the
anyway,
internet for you.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You look on the internet, and believe it or not, I discovered that stuff that's posted on the internet is not necessarily true.
You don't say.
I was shocked and appalled to discover that there was a lot of misinformation out there.
I learned that the hard way from Saber Films not too long ago.
Which one? What'd you say?
What happened there?
The Four Flies on Gray Velvet thing.
What happened?
I don't know about.
You don't remember that? Where they were showing like a photo of a box set and it came in like a standard package or whatever. They made it look like it was going to go with the Arrow and the Synapse Argento releases.
I didn't know anything. I don't know.
I got one. I like the disc. I didn't hear any other scuttlebutt about it.
Yeah. It sounds like
but that's the internet,
Yeah,
the internet would make you think that we're all enemies, every one of us. All of the labels.
Well, it's more fun that way, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah. But in any case, to summarize, Trick or Treat, it bounced around a lot. It was like being hit by it was like a tennis ball, and these things get buried within catalogs, within catalogs, within catalogs, and then it gets sold off to another company who already has 18 other catalogs, and the rights had been with Lionsgate for a while, oddly enough, but the problem was they didn't know where the elements were. And because these things get separated and the records get all conclusive. Well, several years ago, the rights expired with them and then it just disappeared into the ether. Mm-hmm. Long story short, when I had relationships with a bunch of different companies, and there was a company in Europe called Studio Canal. And I was speaking with them, and that's where the whole thing basically got resolved. And they were able to I knew where the negative was. And fortunately, they had access to it because, they're really, what Don was talking about earlier with the labs. If you're a big company like that, you can usually get them to move a little bit faster because they do a lot of business with these labs because there's hundreds and thousands of titles that they're doing that they're stored out there. So they tend to get they grease the wheel a little bit quicker. And so Studio Canal was able to get access to the negative and did a brand new 4K transfer.
Yeah, they did a scan. They did a scan and a restoration, and I'll finish the color. And Mike is going to have the DP come in. And
he just got back to me 2 days ago, and he's going to come in and take a look at it.
I'm doing the subtitles and the color right now.
And this is like a co-release too, and I wanted to just know what Felsher does.
Well, it's all pretty much Mike. We're just releasing it for Red Shirt.
This, I started Red Shirt Home Video back with my first release, After Effects, the documentary I did. And, I was getting the Trick or Treat thing finally sorted out, and I just happened to, we were at Cinema Wasteland. And I was talking to Don about it. I said, well, why don't we go in on it together? And so going forward, Red Shirt Home Video will be distributed by Synapse Films, and Don will be the one working on it.
And we'll help with the, I'll use my expertise and the technical side to make sure the color and the sound and everything is.
Yeah, that was the big appeal for me because it was like, if I'm going to have anybody handle this, I wanted Don to do it because nobody's better than him. Right. So it's like,
And Mike's
for me, it was
extras are second to none. So the two of us working on this thing.
There's
we will conquer the world. I tell you.
not to
Like
like
a
just
weird, bizarro universe now where Felsher's releasing the disc. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like
be
it's
sick everybody else making the money, right? You're wanting to make some real money, right?
Hey, I'm not gonna. At the end of the day, it's not about that so much, but it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
the
me,
world
this
go
was
round.
just this one. This movie was definitely a white whale. For many
Yeah.
years, I've been trying to get this one back out, and the fact that we're going to be able to do it, legitimately and with the access to everything that we need, and really do it up right, is great because
It looks, even without the color correction, the scan
looks
is
great.
insane.
It
It's
looks
insane.
great.
I was watching it today because I'm doing the first pass on the subs, and I'm just like looking at this, and I'm like, it didn't look this good ever.
No,
I
it
mean,
didn't
even
look
the
this good in
prints
theaters. I'm sure it never looked this good.
I mean,
'cause-
I was just like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, and there's it's like so clean and beautiful, and once we get the color locked in, I think it's going to be like, holy shit,
And so far, we've got a lot of people from the cast and crew. I was in Wilmington recently, just about a week ago, and filmed a couple people down there who worked on the movie, and I'm getting photos from a lot. The great thing about announcing this and putting it out there while we're working on it is that people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, "Oh, I know a guy who knows a guy who knew this guy, and he's got So we're going to have a lot of photos, a lot of personal photos, a lot of behind-the-scenes photos on this thing. And, cast and crew, like I said, we're getting people, that night, the night that we announced it, Mark Price got a hold of us. So it was just like, oh, hi, Mark. You were kind of tops. You were
Hi,
kind of
Mark.
tops on our list to talk to you. So Chris McGibbon is helping us out with some stuff too. So he's going to be there doing stuff with us, and it's just a whole bunch of really supportive people coming together to do this thing.
Did you interview Gene and Ozzy?
We've reached out. I doubt well. First of all, Ozzy's not doing all that well health-wise
Right.
these days.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're going to hear back. And Gene has turned us down on a couple of occasions for other things.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to happen either. But
And
I don't think-
his wife, who I tried to get in touch with, even back with Hot Dog, it's just like no, they
No,
got
it's
their
just
own
a
thing
no-go.
going on.
I would love to
But-
see that interview though. Just Gene Simmons
Well,
talking about
you
Trick
know,
or Treat. That would be
yeah.
amazing.
Well, he's in
And
the
he's
movie
really
for
fun-
like
he's-
5 minutes.
He's
you know?
great
Right.
in it though. He really is great in
He
it.
is. No, he's terrific in it. And Ozzy has a really funny moment. But if you look at the Platinum DVD, you would think they both starred. They're the leads of this fucking
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yep.
no, that's not the way it is. But Mark Price is going to be there. Charles Martin Smith has agreed to participate, the director. And we've got, the DP, Robert Elswit, who's going to be involved. And he's an Academy Award winner because he went on to work with Paul Thomas Anderson. He won an Oscar for There Will Be Blood. So, he's a big guy these days. And this was one of his earlier films. So
Yeah, I made fun. When Mike called me the other day, I said, "Let me guess, the guy told us to go, fly a kite." And Mike's like, "No," he said he'd participate. I figured this guy would be like, "Forget it,"
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes these guys, it's a beautifully shot movie. So the thing is, I'm really glad to have him to come in and take a look at it because as long as he signs off on it, I could give a fuck what anyone else has to say. 'Cause,
Right. Right,
It's
exactly.
like, if Robert Elswit likes it, so blow me. Pretty much. It's like,
There's
So
there's
that's-
so much about this movie that I didn't realize until I went back and watched it that would be amazing. I mean, for instance, and I had no idea about this. Glenn Morgan.
yeah, he's like
Glenn
the nerdy
Morgan
kid.
is the
yeah.
is the
He's in
best
the movie.
friend. And Glenn Morgan, for those people that don't know, is the guy that's behind a lot of the X-Files episodes. He wrote, directed a lot of the X-Files episodes.
Space
that are really
Above
good.
and Beyond.
Yeah,
Final
and
Destination
Final
and-
Destination. Yeah. And he just plays like the friend, like
Right.
Price's
The nerdy
friend.
friend.
Yeah.
I'm reaching out to him as well. Hopefully we'll get him. And that's like Doug Savant from Melrose Place in an early role. And
Large Marge. I know
Yeah,
she's,
she's
not
in
with us
the-
anymore, but Large Marge
she's the one that gets pulled through the television set.
makes a
so, yeah.
cameo. Yeah. There's so much about it
Yes.
though that's just insane. And for those people
Yep.
that don't know, the guy that directed it, Charles Martin Smith, was the guy from the Untouchables. Like he was a pretty
Yeah, he
famous
was a
actor.
character
there
actor.
for-
Oh,
for
great
sure.
character actor. Yeah. American Graffiti, Starman, Never Cry. He was a lead in Never Cry Wolf.
Never Cry Wolf.
Did he direct any other movies?
Yeah, he went on to do several. He did the Dolphin Tale films. The Air Bud was his, the first Air Bud.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He never again did anything quite like Trick or Treat. An interesting little trivia, he was not the original director for Trick or Treat. Originally, the film was going to be directed by Penelope Spheris of Wayne's
Oh
World.
wow, yeah, that makes sense.
And that didn't, yeah, it does make sense, yeah, when you think about it. But she left the production at some point, and then they hired Charles Martin Smith to come in. So
We've had a couple of people ask about Horror's Hallowed Grounds or like a location.
oh yeah,
Top
well, Sean's
floor.
already done one. It's already up on YouTube, and he's volunteered to have it be on the disc. So the Horror's Hallowed Grounds will certainly be on there because it's great. He really gets deep into all the locations. That
Nobody
still
does
exist in
that shit
Wilmington.
better than him. I'll give him.
He's great. Yeah, he's fantastic at that. So I'm glad we're going to have that on there.
So there's like so many questions that I can't keep up with them, but I'm going to kind of summarize some that I keep seeing over and over and over again. A bunch of people want to know, is it in a steel book? Like, how is it going to be released, basically, is what a bunch of people want.
We've been talking. We haven't really finalized anything yet.
Yeah, we're still in flux on that. It's going to be nice packaging.
We're looking
whatever
at
it is. We're
different
not just-
packaging ideas and budgeting.
Limited edition pins
I
and prison stickers
called
and
Mike
stuff
with a
like
few
that.
numbers the other day, and it was a little bit of a shell shock. But
Yeah, it's a little bit, but
Yeah.
but we want to do it upright because this is not a normal release. This is something that people have really been wanting, and so we haven't made the determination yet.
yeah,
The
As far
other
as-
one, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Gimmick extras for Trick or Treat, though. The possibilities are endless, you know.
Yeah,
Not just prism stickers and pins like I was talking about, but you could do like the soundtrack. I don't know how easy it would be to do like a 7-inch single like vinyl or something with it, but people would eat that up.
the issue with now obviously the soundtrack's going to come up. Are we going to include the soundtrack or not? We want to, obviously. Why wouldn't we? It's a great soundtrack. The problem is going to be sorting out the music rights because film rights are one thing, soundtrack rights whole different ball of wax, and the soundtrack is owned and controlled by Sony. So we need to speak with them and see if that's a possibility. It was remastered a couple years ago and reissued. So there's a possibility there's already an existing master that could be used, but again, that's going to be totally up to whether or not Sony would allow us to do it or not. So we're going to reach out certainly and see if that's a possibility because I mean Fastway's music is
it's awesome.
I hate to use
It's
the
a
word
great soundtrack.
iconic.
Yeah.
It's a great soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. So I would love to
One of my
include that.
favorites for sure. So
But if it doesn't get included, it's not because we didn't. It's certainly not because we didn't try. That won't be the case. But it's still early yet. So
a lot of good ideas. A Trick or Treat bag slip cover.
well, the thing about the movie's called Trick or Treat, but it's not really a Halloween movie. You know,
Right. There's like one
It's-
scene that would identify it as Halloween. with a
Yeah,
little
it's
girl.
not like Trick or Treat. It's more of
Right.
So I'm more going to play up the heavy metal horror aspect of it because that's really what it's like the Star Wars of that period where there were all these heavy metal horror movies, and I think it's the best one of the bunch. Not that that's saying much because most of the other ones are kind of shitty.
Except for the
but,
two that we
it's-
did.
I
Yeah.
was going to say,
Well,
Jesus.
except for Black Roses and Rock
Black
and Roll
Roses is
Nightmare,
a-
What
they're
about,
aces.
Tear on Tour.
Those are
Man? That's one
amazing
that
films.
People are
Terror on
begging-
Tour, I don't
Yeah.
know about Terror on Tour, but Rocktober Blood and what is Slaughterhouse Rock and
Hard Rock
Rock
Zombies.
Zombies.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
Yeah, and actually, you could include the gate because that's a major plot point is the backmasking thing. But the gate's not really. I don't include the gate in that. That's more of a demon movie than it is a heavy metal horror movie.
Yeah.
So the other big question that everybody's asking on here too is it limited? Meaning, will it be like a limited edition of a certain amount?
There was a joke that at Anchor Bay that my marketing manager in horror used to say. He said, "Well, this is limited. Well, what's it limited to?" And he would say, "It's limited to the amount of them we can sell." And it's like, and I'm like, that's a bullshit answer, but
It
it
works.
I mean, you know, the artwork that's out there is just using the template that I had for my After Effects release. It may not be technically a limited edition. Let me put it to you this way: you won't have a problem getting a hold of one.
No.
It's just
Okay.
we're not gonna, but we are
It's
gonna
not going
charge
to sell
about
out in like a day and a half.
no. We're only going to charge, I think, probably about $99 each for just for the single disc. The limited edition, the deluxe edition will cost about $666.
Right.
Is what we're,
The one that comes in like a guitar case with like picks and like an actual guitar. Yeah.
Now you could have your very first. I know you guys are hoping to maybe get it out this year.
Yeah.
It will be out this year. It will be out this year.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
For all intents and purposes, we could have the mastering done in like 3 weeks. So
yeah, but the extras need to be. We still need to get all these in. Yeah, but it will be this year. So this is not one that's good. This is not one that's going to drag out. Because the good news is, and Don could agree, is that what we got, the master that we got, was in such good shape.
Yeah, the restoration. I looked at it and I went through it, and I was just like, okay, this is.
And I was really nervous when I sent it over to Don. It's just like, oh, Don's going to pick it apart, and it's just going to be like, this is awful, and I can't put my name on it. Because, Don is meticulous with this shit. He goes in every little grain. He's like, fuck it. So I was
worried.
There's a
piece of dirt on that nose
I know.
there.
Yeah, it's like, this is crap, and throw it out.
Shit.
So, but he actually came back and said, oh, this looks really good. I went, oh, my.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of the really hard stuff has already been fortunately taken care of. But the
I
color,
always get weary when you get a license from a company and they're like, oh, we already did the restoration. It's all.
It's like, oh, that's like the worst thing. Oh God.
Never.
And 9 times out of 10, that is a disaster.
Oh, it's horrible.
They'll throw they'll throw noise reduction, an auto pass on it, and suddenly all the car antennas and smoke go away.
Yeah, like
anything
fingers
like
are missing, cigarettes are missing.
Yeah, rings. A lot of rings always disappear.
Mm-hmm. Chains, necklaces.
But fortunately, Studio Canal's gotten really good at this the last several years. So when they do a transfer, they do it right, and so it. I was blown away by how good it looked. But the color does need work. Yeah. And that is why we're bringing in. We have a great colorist working on this, and then the
same
DP
guy who
will
did
come
Suspiria with me.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So there you go. And then the sound. The sound is the other thing we're going to be doing as much work on as possible. Not that it's in bad shape, but this is Trick or Treat. We really want something cool surround mix on this. So.
Somebody asked that too, Felsher. Like, is it going to be in DTS 5.1 or like what is the sound? Do you know
we're
what the sound options are?
I was listening to the stereo track today, and I was surprised at how much separation there was. Like that in that scene where he's spinning the record around and he's asking questions. There's actually I think Sammy Kerr says, kill them all, fuck them, as he's like spinning the record. And one of the kill 'em alls is in the left. The second kill 'em all is in both speakers centered, and then fuck 'em is in the right speaker. So there's like shit traveling, and that's not anything that we did. That's actually in the stereo mix that way. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, you always want to fuck 'em in the right speaker.
Right. Yeah, fuck 'em's got to be on the right speaker. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the
but
left.
There's a lot when all the stuff's falling in the bedroom and stuff. There's a lot going on, and I don't remember ever hearing, even in the theater, I don't remember that kind of separation. So it's
someone here just posted a little comment that says Studio Canal does great work. When they author a disc, they need better encoding. That will not be a problem here because the person who's going to be doing the encoding for us, he's the Don May of encoding. This guy, right? He's that good. So. Yeah. We're bringing in the A team for this shit. This is not.
Well, I couldn't think of, and I'll kiss your ass on here because there's only a couple of companies that I can guarantee you that every fucking 4K that they come out with is going to look fantastic. Synapse Films and Blue Underground. I haven't seen one 4K. I don't know if maybe using the same people. I don't know.
No,
author and
I think it really depends. I think Bill is using HTV, which I've used in the past for other things. I'm not sure, but I think he does a lot of work at HTV, or at least he used to. And they've been around forever. I mean,
wasn't it HTV Illuminate? Was the name?
Yeah, Illuminate. Jim Hardy, who runs HTV, is the first person I worked with when we did Night of the Living Dead on Laserdisc back in like 92, 93. So he's been in the industry for a long time.
Way back in 1992.
Yeah, right.
Somebody sent me a video though. You may know something about this. I think it posted it on the Facebook page. I can send it to you if you want. The audio, there's some audio cues that have been missing from Nightmare on Elm Street since the Laserdisc, I think.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this? What's
I
the
know there is one on the Laserdisc that's missing because the idiots screwed it up.
what? I mean, what the hell's up with that? Like, I don't get that at all.
I don't either. That was, that was a long time ago. I don't know what happened. New Line gave us some stuff and the shit wasn't there.
Well, I'll ask.
I'm like, okay.
No, actually, on that one I can find out because we got that Elm Street box set.
No, we know. You don't have to say anything. We already know.
No, there is no goddamn.
And
Elm
you're
Street
working.
box.
I know you're working on Bruiser or some shit.
Not
that you're
until
talking
next
about
year.
Right now. The fact that you're
I
sitting
wish-
there, there's something going on, Sleepy.
They're going to do the 40th anniversary thing.
It's like a
next
Scooby Doo
year.
mystery, but I'll figure it out by the end of
Factory
this
is.
episode.
You'll figure out
With your fucking
great.
fruit roll up chair, I'm gonna figure it out.
Actually, you know what? I can go ahead and take because it got leaked early anyway. It's some
Yeah, go ahead.
remaining stuff for Night 90.
Yeah.
There's
and
gonna be
and
a
the Sudden
re-release
Death
of Night 90.
4K you're working on.
Oh right, yeah, the John Claude. Yeah, that's yeah. No, it's
That's
Night
an awesome
90,
hockey
so-
movie. You gotta go with that.
It's an awesome. No, it's not even that good a hockey movie. It's just
Right. He gets on the ice and
di-
does like the split.
It's
that-
Die Hard at a hockey game. Is
The
basically
funny
all
thing
it
about
is.
that was that was filmed in Pittsburgh, and I was in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh working on something, and Carl and Marilyn Eastman from Night of the Living Dead called me up, and they said, "You're in town. Do you want to go be in the crowd in Sudden Death? Like they have those." And I was just like, I'm working, whatever. So I guess Carl and Marilyn went there, and they're in that stadium scene somewhere, but I've never been able to find them. But it was funny. I was in Pittsburgh when they were filming that, and they offered to take me with them to be in the movie, but I was too busy. So
Now, this Night 90 release, though, is this a Scream Factory deal or?
No, I can't really talk much more about
Why
it.
not?
It's coming.
Give us a
Because I
scoop,
can't.
Sleepy.
No, it's not.
Baskin Robbins, scoops.
No.
Um,
But it's coming at some point. I don't know when, and I can't say what's going to be on it. But that's what I'm working on. So
You can't say what's going to be on it. So somebody asked, please tell me the
it's going to be in a new
uncensored
shade
gore
of blue for
will be in the
I-
Night 90.
now,
that movie's
I
had
have
a
no
couple of different releases, though, and there's been issues with both of them, right?
I think so. I don't really know, but I can't really talk about it other
Ah,
than because it's already been leaked out there that it's coming, but I can't give you any more information than that.
Would it be coming this fall as well, or later?
I would think so. It would make sense, but again, I don't know. I'm not in charge. This is one I'm not in charge of, so I can't talk about it. So, whereas
Is
with
it
Trick or
gonna-
Treat, I'm pretty much able to say whatever I want. It's whether I choose to talk about it. Or
Now,
not.
I can't kick you under the table if you say too much, though. So.
last time we
Right.
talked to you, though, you said that you weren't working with Scream Factory anymore. Has that changed, or?
Oh, I still do a couple things for them every now and then, but they've moved on to other people, and I've got I got a lot of other work. In fact, now that Trick or Treat's coming out, I actually got a lot of work. And then actually, I work over at Kino too. I'm actually got a full-time position with them now these days, so I'm doing a lot of work with them. Yeah.
Well, guys,
So
we
when
have.
do they? Wait a minute. If you're working with Kino, answer me this, Felsher. If you do nothing else for me, and you probably won't, answer me this: are they releasing or not To Live and Die in L.A.? Because I keep
don't
hearing
know.
mixed things about that.
Didn't they
title.
announce it and then it?
They
just never happened?
apparently Freakin's giving them tons of shit about it.
Gee,
Somehow
what
or
a
another.
surprise!
That I don't
Anyway.
know about.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean, with all the problems he caused with cruising with Arrow, I'm not surprised.
He's always been a handful in the past, from what I understand. I've never worked with the guy, but I've worked with several companies who have, and he really likes to get it. He's like Michael Mann. He likes to get in there and
Change
play
things.
with stuff, and it's just that French connection.
Like
from a few years
even
ago.
The
Good Lord.
Exorcist, where they say they go the version you've never seen with all the extra stuff, and then there's they advertise the original theatrical version. It's still not. He still tinkered with it. The end, spoiler alert for The Exorcist if you haven't seen it, but it's only been 50 fucking years. There's a morph in the original version of The Exorcist, there's still a morph. There was no morphing going on in
No, not in 73, no.
1973. And at the end of the movie, instead of the hard jump cut from him to being possessed, they morph him into being possessed before he goes out the window. And I was like, that's not the original version of the movie, but they're advertising it like it is. And
When
that
they're doing the
incenses me.
4K, is
That
it
he-
next year?
That he still
At the end of the
changed
year?
something, and they're advertising it as the original version, and it's clearly not.
So I know you
My
said that was
favorite, my
one of-
favorite Exorcist has already been released in 4K Part 3. So
Yeah.
I give a shit.
I thought you was going to say, part 2, but that's not it.
That'd be so killer if he's like, I love that movie. Okay, so there's a documentary with this too, though. Back to Trick or Treat, though. Documentary for Trick or Treat, correct?
That's the plan. Yeah, it'll be a
Feature length documentary.
Feature length. Okay.
Whether
I've
it's
heard-
feature length or not, I can't say what the time is, but it'll be similar to what we did for Massacre at Central High and The Kindred. It'll be a long form. It won't be like a 20-minute piece, is what I'm saying. So
Cool.
it all depends on how many people we get. But right now, it's looking pretty good. So
A lot of people are excited because we got 209 people watching live. We're doing
Uh-oh.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitch, and
Wow.
YouTube. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And as far as other stuff, though, I mean, everybody's excited about Trick or Treat. Is Synapse going to have anything else coming out?
Well, yeah, I brought my little cheat sheet. So the schedule as it stands right now is McBain is July 11th, but you can still get it from us now if you order it from our website direct. But the actual release date is July 11th. The normal version of Invaluable that doesn't have the slip, you can get the one from us or Diabolic now with the slip. The normal version comes out August 1st. Black Circle, which is a movie that Jerry and I helped produce, so I hope you support it, which is also about a weird record, believe it or not, is September 5th. But the slipcover version is available now from us and Diabolic. And then we have a weird, like a really vile exploitation movie coming from our Impulse line. On September 26th, we have a movie called Man at the Door, which is really vile. And the regular version of Tenebrae, because the box set is almost completely gone. We've got maybe a couple of hundred left, and that's it. So the Tenebrae is going to come out September 26th. And then on October 24th, we have the regular version of Tombs of the Blind Dead and another adult film called Liz, Mama's Little Girl, which is really is a weird one.
Steve
As
will buy
far
that,
as
I'm sure.
other titles, we're finishing up The Convent right now. I think the last piece is, Mike is working on a still gallery for us.
yeah.
And we've got everything else pretty much going with that. So that'll be out whenever, it's finally done. I don't like to announce things way in advance anymore, just because of what happened to me last year that kind of screwed me up, and I know that the internet is so unforgiving, it doesn't matter if you're on your deathbed, they fucking want their title and they want it now.
They're pretty hardcore, yeah.
No, I could be. I
so-
could be lying. I could be lying upside down underneath a car and on fire, and people would be like, "I'll save you, Slippy, but first, is Trick or Treat coming out in October?"
Right. Right. So we
And I'll
got
be like,
Deadly Spawn.
"Eh."
And one of the things that we're working on right now with Deadly Spawn is, the previous version was like 1:37 or whatever. We got like dual aspect ratios going on. So we have like the 1:37 and a 1:66 so that people can decide which one they like better. The Convent's 4K. Killers is coming out. We're almost done with that one, but that one won't be a 4K. The Blue Sunshine 4K we're working on now. I just got like one of the last supplementary pieces from Jeff today. One of the things that he wanted to put in, he wrote a book that you can get on Amazon or your Kindle or a hardcover or whatever it is. And there's the chapter on Blue Sunshine. He wants to include it, so he sent that to me today. We do have 2 announcements. You have a drum roll sound?
No, that's one thing we don't have.
No, you don't. Today, like, what time is it? Is it like 10 o'clock or something? It's
It's 9:53.
9:53.
Close enough. Yeah.
At 7:53 today, we got the signed deal for the Grave Dancers. So we're doing a 4K on Grave Dancers. It was previously out by Lionsgate, but anybody who's actually seen that movie on Blu-ray knows that it doesn't look right. And they screwed up the color space on the transfer. So the DVD and the Blu-ray of Grave Dancers is not what the director ever intended it to look like. So we just signed the deal and got this afternoon. The other one that we just got, we're actually doing a 4K on the 2016 Blood Feast. So we're actually working on that too.
So are you doing more 4Ks than Blu-rays now? Because there's a couple of releases over the last year or so.
Now that everybody's kind of getting into the groove with 4K, I would say yeah. It really depends on the title. Like, we were offered, I think Unearthed announced it. What was that? Full Body Massage, the Nicholas Roeg film.
Right.
We were going to do it, but then it's like, doing this in 4K, and we got the budget, for the 4K and the cleanup based on the material, and the director, he's dead. The guy who offered it to us was like, because sometimes the producers don't want you to do this stuff. They'll license you the movie, but they'll be like, no, that, you can't spend this much money. And sometimes it's prohibitive. If you want to do a 4K, you got to do the 4K scan. You got to do the 4K cleanup, the 4K color in two different color spaces, because Blu-ray is one color space and 4K is something totally different. So there's a lot of expenses involved with doing two different formats. And the guy who licensed us, or was going to license us, that one, didn't approve the budget. And I said, well, if you're not going to approve this budget, then I don't want to do it. So we politely passed, and it went on to Unearthed. But I don't think he announced a 4K of it, did he? I think it's just a Blu-ray, isn't it?
I don't think they've done 4Ks
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
So, we wanted to. But
Super chat real quick here from Bronson before I lose it. I guess he's asking about deleted scenes from Trick or Treat.
There were scenes shot from the movie that have never been seen in anywhere. There's one in particular, it's sort of a fantasy sequence where Mark Price pictures himself as like a Conan type figure and with a sword and all that, and he's rescuing the lead actress from the film. It's kind of like a dream sequence. In fact, there's photos of it, I think, in one of the Fangoria issues when it was covered back in the day. But as to whether or not that ever made any cut of the movie, I don't know. I'll be asking the director several questions about what was trimmed from the movie. And there's a few other bits with Sammy Kerr, I think, on stage that might have been trimmed at one point, because we've got some photos that are clearly from scenes that didn't make the final cut of the movie. But as to whether or not they were ever in a work print or not, who knows? So if any of that stuff even exists anymore, we don't know. But we're going to be like, we're going to turn over every rock we can. But a lot of that stuff, especially if it never made its way into even an early cut of the movie, would have probably been in the wastebasket years ago, because they didn't keep that stuff back then.
Right.
yeah.
Because DVD or the idea of anyone wanting to see that stuff was just foreign to them. It was in 1986. It was lucky to be coming out on VHS. Let alone anything else.
Colin is asking, is the Trick or Treat going to be like a combo deal with a Blu-ray and a 4K? Or
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do a 4K Blu-ray combo and then a Blu-ray separate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what everybody's
Pretty
doing
standard,
these days.
yeah. It's pretty
And
much what
I would venture to guess that we should probably do it on DVD as well.
yeah.
So
Because there's still a big market for DVDs, believe it or not. I don't
It's
know
still
why.
like
Oh,
the
yeah,
number
that's
one selling format, right?
yeah.
And then I think also we're going to do a limited run on CED Vision, the old do
VCD
that.
video.
I know there
VCD.
was
We're going to do we're going to do VCD, and then we're also going to do beta.
Vmaster.
We're going to do a limited beta run.
Do the
on that as
8-track
well.
soundtrack.
I'm
Yeah.
shocked.
And then we're
that-
going to do one of those Super 8 used to get that you could put on the your little projector at home. We're going to do a cut down version for Super 8.
Right.
So,
Didn't they have
we're gonna
high
do
def
that.
VHS too, right before VHS?
Oh yeah, we're going to do DVHS. We're going to do DVHS. Certainly going to do that.
Disco
And then we're
vision.
going to bring back DivX. We're going to do
Right.
DivX, the other.
Well, the movie
that.
goes away after like 24 hours.
Right, we're gonna do a DivX or make it a DivX combo HD DVD
Right.
release.
Only
So
play it on
we'll do that.
ColecoVision.
A Click. Yeah, we're gonna do an 8-bit video game. We're gonna do all this shit.
Well, the
So this-
overseas,
But
they,
it makes sense for something like that to come out on all the formats that we can put it out on.
Yeah.
So
This is an important question for me, though, Slippy. Did you interview the chick that was groped by the tongue demon?
We can't.
I
don't
just
know
asked
where
you
she-
this
we don't know.
today.
Yeah,
I think
no
it's
one
an
knows where
important
she.
question. Yeah.
No one knows where she is. No one knows because she only did that and one other movie that same year and then was gone. So and she has too common a name, so it's like it could be 100 people, and then who knows if she married or what happened to her. So, if anybody out there can find her, let me know.
maybe
That's
she's
great. but
watching.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be funny? Yeah. If you're out there, girl who in the back of the car, please
Jeannie.
contact us. Yeah, contact us
by a tongue
immediately.
demon. If you've ever been molested by a tongue demon,
Yeah.
call
If you've ever been,
Like unsolved mysteries.
if you've ever been molested by a demon named Skeezix, please call us. But yeah, we'd love to. I'd love to interview. Of course, why not? Absolutely. But
Somebody else is asking about Lamora again.
Well, as far as Wild Zero is concerned, let me give you a little story. So I saw it come up. It said Wild Zero 4K, and the answer is from us is probably no. About 6 months ago, they came back to us and they said, "Hey, we've got this 4K master of Wild Zero. You guys, the owners." And they came back and they're like, "You wanna put this out?" And I was like, "Well, hell yeah," But again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, where we usually I like to do everything myself because 99.9% of the time when somebody says, "We got this new remaster and it'll be great," and you can, so I go, "Let me see it." Of course, I had no hopes for it whatsoever. I was like, because I knew. It's been a long time, but I seem to recall that movie was edited together like an episode of the early, Star Trek Next Generation, where they shot it on film, but then they kind of edited everything on video, right? Mm-hmm. And all the effects and the digital stuff and the lasers and all this crap was all done on 480p on like a standard def like Digi-Betacam master back in the day. So I'm like, I don't think this is going to work, but I want to see what they give me. So they sent me like a 10-minute piece, and of course, exactly what I thought it was. They just up-res the 480p to 1080p.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this is bullshit. Why? Who is going to? Well, everybody's up-resing these days. Everybody's doing that. No one. It's going to sell. So who cares? And I'm like, I care. I'm not going to dupe my customers into thinking that I did some new DVD or some new Blu-ray mastering in 1080p. This is clearly a 480p, the old master that we had, and you just up-resed it to 1080p, and you're calling it a high-def master. And they said, well, then they blamed it on the director. Well, that's what the director did for us, so that's what we have. And I said, nope.
Bye.
So I'm not going to put that out. So if it comes out on Blu-ray or 4K somewhere else, I'd be very curious to see what it is, because what they offered me was a huge red flag. So
what about,
I would say no to Wild Zero.
We get this question every single time, so I ask it. The Lamora 4K, is there any chance of that happening?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
No. There's too much, a lot of people are like, well, I saw it back when he was yeah, we did 4K tests. We did. I'm not going to dispute that. But shit went down with, our attorneys going back and forth and like, hey, what's this? And hey, you know, do you have this and that? You know, I don't want to get into the specifics, but right now it's not on the schedule. That's not to say it won't happen someday, but right now, the let's put the nail in it, you know, and bury it. It's not happening for any time soon. So maybe before I retire, it might happen, but right now it's not.
So it's pretty much now just a list of people naming off your older titles
Right.
and asking if
Yeah.
you're going to do 4K.
Okay.
Black
So-
Roses.
Black Roses, no. What happened with Black Roses is a sad situation. We got Black Roses and Rock and Roll Nightmare from a distributor that wasn't Jim Glickenhaus. People were like, well, that's a Jim Glickenhaus title. Well, no, it wasn't. It was a guy that we got those two titles from and a couple of other titles that then ended up with Jim Glickenhaus, like Exterminator and Frankenhooker and those things that we've got. But Rock and Roll Nightmare and Black Roses, we had the materials and, you know, we put out the DVDs. And then the owner of those materials was, I remember his office was on Ventura Place in LA, and I would go and visit him. He was the nicest guy in the world. And he was very cheap because he didn't want to spend any money on storage or whatever. So he's like, oh, you know, I'll write letters. I'll give you access to the materials. And then when they're done, they ship them right back. And I actually found the letters in some old email archives that I had, where I think it was around in, I can't even remember, was it 2009, 2006, something like that.
Well,
we did
Rock
that.
and Roll Nightmare was like 2005. I remember
Yeah,
doing the
but-
interview.
Damn, was it that long ago?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it was longer than that. But, well, anyway, so we did the transfers. We gave them back to the guy, and he passed away. And I fear that the materials for those are long gone now, because my gut tells me that when we gave them back to him at his little office on Ventura Place, he just probably kept them there. And then he passed away, and I don't know, you know, how it works or whatever, but if you're a owner of an office building and you got rent coming in from this guy and then he dies and the rent's not coming in anymore, what do you do with all the shit that's in his office? Right? You got to clean that office out and put somebody else in there if the guy's dead and he's not going to be paying rent anymore. And since then, we haven't been able to find the material. And it sucks, because I was even just talking to Joe Rubin at Vinegar Syndrome, you know, our arch enemies that everybody thinks we hate each other. But,
Somebody
you know,
just brought this up.
I was just talking to him last week, and I was just like, man, you know, where, and sadly, you know, there's some other films that he had that the materials are just gone now, because they all went back to him, and then he passed away. And then Jim Glickenhaus, I guess the guy in his will or whatever, he wanted Jim Glickenhaus to take over those movies for him. So, you know, Jim was out of the business. He was he made some movies in the 80s like McBain and stuff, but he's since kind of moved on. You know, he's kind of doing his own thing with the race cars and all this. But the guy said, listen, Jim Glickenhaus was a friend of mine for many years. I want him, if I'm dead, I want him to inherit my library. So that happened, but then moving some of that stuff over to Jim Glickenhaus, the material's gone, and we can't find it. So Black Roses, it makes me sick to think about it, you know, and that's why, I mean, we're still looking, like Joe's looking, and we're looking, and, you know, Troma is looking, because Troma now, we have video rights for some of that stuff, but Troma's got like digital rights. So we're all kind of keeping our eyes open, but it sucks, man, because Black Roses was a blast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, wasn't there like an HD version of that on?
we
like
have an
Shudder
HD
or
master,
something?
sure. We have a D5, but it's it's an old D5 master. Same with Rock and Roll Nightmare, but that's another one. Even Thor, like, and his and the director's son were trying to figure out where this stuff is. And I think the location of this stuff just, went with the guy to the grave. We have no clue. I've called every vault that I could think of in LA, and I was like, hey guys, do you have this and this and this? And everybody's like, nope, 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 nope. And I think that's what happened. He was too cheap to pay for storage, because that can get expensive. That can be, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars
It's like
a month,
temperature
depending
controlled
on,
storage too. So
and he probably put it in his office, where he put it in a closet somewhere, and now he's dead, and no one can find the stuff. So I don't want to think it, but I'm wondering if the stuff just got thrown in the garbage.
probably.
Because they probably were like, well, he's not here anymore. We got to sell this office to somebody else. Toss it. And that, it makes my stomach churn just thinking about it. But it's the typical Hollywood movie story. It's like some of these old movies, you just don't know where anything is.
Well, maybe even
I
with
just-
the old transfers.
Wait,
you
I'm
could do
sorry.
like
I'm sorry. I need to interrupt for a second. I would just like to say to the freaky Tarantino film student, no, I am not the fucking guy from Toy Story 2. I am not the toy collector guy that got Woody and tried to fix him up and sell him to the Japanese or whatever the fuck it was. No, I am not that. No, I am not that guy.
Look at it side by
Hold
side.
on.
There. It's pretty close.
How is that?
I mean, that's pretty dead on, man. I mean, other than the Hawaiian, sure. So
You were the inspiration for that character, though. You're not the guy, but you were the inspiration.
what year was
I think
Toy
we can
Story
agree.
2 out anyway? I don't even know.
Well, that was 99. I didn't look like that in 99. I'm aging into that guy, basically, is what's happening. So.
What I was going to
my
mention,
God.
though, even with the old transfers on those, maybe a double feature.
Yeah,
of-
I'll
or something
revisit
like that.
those.
Yeah.
Because we have D5s on Black Roses and Rock and Roll Nightmare, but that might be it. And that just it's my stomach gets upset thinking about when movies like that just vanish and you don't know where anything is. It's like, well, like Vinegar Syndrome's been they've been trying to work on Last House on Dead End Street for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
And where is it? And it just it's nauseating.
Which one is Hard Rock Zombies? I think I've seen it, but I get all
That's
these
the one.
movies.
Didn't Vinegar Syndrome put that out with Rock?
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse
Yeah,
Rock.
they
or
did.
Something?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that and
think I-
Slaughterhouse
the
Rock
double.
together.
Yeah, I think I watched that not too long ago. It's not
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Red Shirt Pictures will bring out a Toy Story 2 4K. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can afford to sub-license a Pixar movie. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coffin Joe trilogy 4K anytime soon.
Not from us. No. There was some scuttlebutt that another company was doing it many months ago, but I haven't heard anything since. But it won't be from us.
Yeah, we need an Intruder 4K. That's what
We
I
do.
want.
I mean, we've
Yeah, yeah.
talked to Charlie, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. But with Charlie Band, it's like we love the guy, but you give him an idea. I was like, hey Charlie, can we do a Blu-ray of Tourist Trap? Yeah, maybe. And then then he puts it out, and it's screwed up.
Just kind of
I think
throws it
By the
out.
way,
again.
just as a side note to that, those all look awful.
Yeah.
I own them, and let me tell you.
Well, they
So,
had
I
Chuck
don't know.
Connor's figure, right? And it looks like one of those, one of those little army men back in the day, the ones
Yeah.
they didn't paint, but they painted him.
Mm,
The Chuck Connor's one. So
yeah. Yeah.
he's got
So-
like,
Yeah, Intruder would be a cool one to do. I'll have to nudge him a little bit more on that.
one
I don't
that's,
know where. Don't know where the material is on that one.
That no one's mentioned yet, but I'm sure they will. Fright Night 2, because overseas, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, because I think it's Cinemuseum or one of those companies over there. They announced they're doing, I guess it's a Blu-ray, but they're scanning it from a 35 millimeter print, from what I've been told. So
Yeah.
it's probably going to look better than the the DVD and everything. But I mean, I think people probably shouldn't expect a whole lot from that one.
Yeah, there's a couple of Blu-rays of that out already.
Yeah, they're all European releases.
Yeah, there was one that came out earlier that had like all kinds of like digital blocking and stuff on it. And it was a bummer because it looked okay, but then there were like digital hits and digital errors in it. And then I think was it Spanish? I have the newer one downstairs.
Yeah.
That I picked
Are those
It's all
all from
been
like
struck-
35 millimeter? Or?
No,
but it looks
I think
decent. It's not great, but it looks like a digital master they would have shown on TV.
it was. I think that's all coming from a rip or a
Like a TV
clone or
broadcast.
back in the day when it aired on Monsters HD or something like
Yeah,
that. Or
yeah.
It was one of the, I think they're hopefully in 235. I've never seen them.
Yeah, I have it here
but,
downstairs. I think
Where in
it's
the hell
a
did Monsters
Spanish
HD get it?
TV rights are a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
TV rights are almost always, certainly with older films, a whole separate rights deal than home video.
Mm-hmm.
So just because someone has TV rights doesn't mean they have home video, or vice versa. It's a weird. That's another night. So it's funny, you can track down the rights to someone who, oh yeah, the TV rights, great. So you home video? No. Well, who does? We don't know. It's like, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Curtains 4K?
Nope.
Oh, that'd be great.
No.
Clown
The problem with curtains.
I know the answer for that.
The problem with curtains is the company that we licensed it from went out of business. And where the material is in Canada is a vault that's notorious for being just as terrible to get materials out of. That like Technicolor Camarillo was to get the materials for the Convent out of. It's just a nightmare. In hindsight, I probably should have scanned it in 4K back then, but that was early, and 4K scans were incredibly expensive to do back when we did that disc. I would love to do curtains in 4K. I would love to, but
It would look amazing.
The company that we got it from, nobody's there anymore. It's like they closed up and you can't get anybody. There's nobody on the phones or nothing. So that one's kind of like up in the air, I mean, if there's a company out there that can give me access to the materials again, I would love to do it. But they're not going to give me. I can't just call the vault and say, hey, I need those, because the company that we got them from no longer exists.
Matt's asking a question about Stepfather 2. Matt, the problem with Stepfather 2 is that because I helped Don get the rights on that through another company, and they don't have any materials. They got on an existing master that was used for the Miramax DVD way back in the day, and that's what we had to repurpose for the Synapse DVD. Where the actual film elements are, no one seems to know.
That's another sad story. It's like these kinds of stories just make me sick. It's like the movie's not even that old. It's not like we're dealing with something from the 30s and 40s.
Right, it was 89 or whatever.
And
the
it's
hell
like,
it was,
where the fuck did it go? And
it's out there somewhere.
Somewhere. I hope. I hope somebody did like Black Rose. Oh yeah, he's not paying his rent because he's dead. Let's throw this in the dumpster and get a new tenant in here by the first. I don't know. That's the saddest part of what I do in my job is finding this kind of stuff out. Like, no, we don't have anything.
Al McWigan, he looks kind of familiar.
They're doing thumbnails now. This is amazing.
Yeah. Al, Prom Night 4K is the same answer as Curtains.
Yeah,
They're from the same company.
Same answer.
Actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Would
But
Synapse
you know
or
what?
Red
A lot
oh.
of people. It's funny because a lot of people you'd think that prom night would be more popular, but Curtains was for us.
Yeah.
Curtains sold more than prom night. As a matter of
Really?
fact, yeah, it's so weird. It's like everybody's like, prom night's great. I love prom night. It's great. It's one of the coolest like 80s slashers, and it's really fun. It didn't sell worth a shit.
That's insane. I would have thought that would.
Huh?
I would have thought that would have sold amazing.
You'd
just
think
for the
so.
Jamie
I
Lee
mean,
Curtis. Yeah.
we got it into Walmart, and Walmart was like, "Wow, prom night, Jamie Lee Curtis." We got like 4,000 of them back on the stock rotation, like from Walmart. They're like they took a bunch and they returned almost 4,000 units of that thing. Nobody bought it. Everybody was like, curtains, and it's great. Fucking Curtains is awesome. But I thought prom night was going to be like huge, and it didn't do anything. Maybe we need to do like a new slipcover or something, and then charge
Right.
10
That's
bucks.
what
you need a.
that's what everyone loves, you know.
slipcover.
Yeah, I'll do a what do they call those dual wall slipcovers with some
Hard
spot
box.
varnish and some embossing, and it'll sell like crazy.
A lot of people are digging those plastic slip covers that you can like interchange with the front and back artwork and all that.
I don't think I've seen
I think Lionsgate and there's a couple other.
I haven't
companies
seen
that
those.
do
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the I think American Psycho one was kind of like that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I know
part
what
of
you're
the
talking about. Like the
I'll have to
Reservoir
look at
Dogs
that.
one that were just released, where you pull the plastic off and like a part of the picture.
Mill Creek,
comes
I
off.
think.
Oh, like Man Who Fell to Earth. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
We did something like
it's got
that in Anchor Bay for
like
Freaks,
like
actually.
a clear, like an acetate slip cover over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
I'm
here-
sure that's like super expensive.
Yeah.
It's bad enough for a boutique label to do steelbooks, but everybody gripes and bitches at the price, but boutique labels, we don't move as many as a studio will. A studio can call up Best Buy and say, yeah, we'll sell you, you can put in 10,000 and we'll sell them to you for $7 a piece. A boutique label
Well,
doesn't
not
have
Best
that.
Buy anymore, really.
Yeah. But a boutique label doesn't have that luxury. You can't move 10,000 units in Best Buy and another 5 in Target. It's not.
We
not
did
gonna
a
happen for us.
show last week on like lost media, and I figured you guys would have some good stories about that. But one in particular, I know Felsher mentioned was, I think they're going to. You mentioned maybe a new Tales from the Crypt box set not too long ago when we had you on, or that may be something that
I don't.
I would
remember
buy
ever
that
talking
if that
about
was actually happening.
Yeah.
But like that was shot on film, edited on video,
Right.
And
Yeah.
is the film elements for that? Like someone mentioned to me that was lost, like that they were lost. Or
No, I'm
destroyed or
sure-
something.
I doubt that they're lost. The problem with that is that it's very cost prohibitive to re-go, because you have to go back and you have to recut every episode to match, because it's either I'm assuming they shot all that stuff on 35 millimeter. So
Probably 16, maybe.
yeah, so they might have had, if they did 16, they could have had the AB rolls, which would help because it would narrow down the footage you're working with. But if it's 35, depending on what they did, they may have transferred everything that they shot onto tape and then they cut it. So you'd have to literally go back and transfer every bit of film for every bit of every episode, and then sort through all that, find all the shots, reassemble it. And Tales from the Crypt, because it wasn't a huge budgeted show, but it had some big people behind it, they had money for visual effects. So you'd have to redo some of that stuff. And that's a lot of money for something that's not Star Wars, So I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but it's one of the reasons that Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager have not been redone, because all those visual effects were done in standard def, and they would have to go back and they couldn't up-res it, they'd have to recreate it in order to make it look as good as they wanted to, and that's even for Star Trek, that's too cost prohibitive. So for something like
and I
Tales
think
from
all the
Crypt,
effects on Deep Space Nine were done like on an Amiga.
or like Babylon 5, there was literally done on an Amiga, I believe, but it was like So yeah, the problem with some of these shows is that not only do you have to go back and essentially start from scratch, you have a lot of post-production work in terms of recreating visual effects, and it's
Nobody
it's a
wants
long
to do that.
process. It's just a long
Well, you
process.
mentioned something similar with Tales from the Dark Side. Is there anything
Yeah.
new on that you can mention on here? Or?
No, I wish. I would love to redo Tales from the Dark, and that would actually, in a weird way, would be easier than something like Tales from the Crypt, because fortunately they didn't. I mean, I certainly talked to the directors; they would argue the point. But from my perspective, if I were in charge of restoring Tales from the Dark Side, it'd be a lot easier because they didn't have a lot of money to make those episodes at all. So they didn't do 8 billion takes for every single shot, and hardly any post-production visual effects at all. It was all because they didn't have the money. So they either did it on camera or they really couldn't do very much at all. So that would be actually probably an easier show to reassemble, because you wouldn't have nearly as much post work to do, just color timing. And that was shot on 16. So the
Those
negatives for that
DVDs
would
look like shit now, by the way.
Well, it's the same. Those
Christ.
no,
Like
those
Friday the
master.
13th series too. It looks like shit.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the Tales from the Dark Side Masters are the same ones that aired on TV back in 85, 86. They haven't updated them because there's nothing to update from. So it's the same ones that have been kicking around for 35, 40 years now. And so, at the end of the day, there's only so much they can do. They can't even up-res those and make them look that great.
No.
There's just no detail in them, So I would
Up-res
love to
and add
restore that
grain
show.
like everybody did.
Yeah, yeah. But it would still look like dog shit because they're soft and they're just, they're old 1 inch or 3/4 inch masters, and those things don't age. Those things age like milk. They're just they don't get better over time. It's not like film where you can still count on the detail being there. Tape masters, no, sadly they probably looked better 30 years ago, and they didn't look that great then. So. The DVDs
We've got to
we've
think
got
the
are the best
TVs
we're
were
gonna
very small back then too. They didn't. It didn't
Well, yeah. I mean, hell, back when when Tales from the Dark Side first aired, I had a TV in my room, but it was black and white still.
Yeah.
Like
a little 19-inch black and white TV.
What was the biggest floor model TV you could get? It was 38 inches or something, maybe. I don't
The
even
last
know.
tube set I had was a Trinitron. A Sony was a flat. It was a flat. It wasn't a curved screen. It was a flat screen.
500 pounds too, I bet.
Was it the widescreen
weighed-
one?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And that thing weighed more than my car does now. I mean, it was
before I bought this
impossible to
house,
move
I
that
lived in
fucking thing.
a townhome a couple miles down the road.
I remember your TV there. I remember that. Yeah.
And I just said I'm leaving it here, and I called the landlord of my old place, and I said I ain't moving this thing because it's too fucking heavy. It was like 300-400 pounds, and I said just leave it to your cleanup dudes. Like, let them take it home. And they go, okay, you can just leave it. And I just left.
Man,
I
I
didn't
don't-
even want to bring
I
it.
donated mine to the rec room of the apartment complex I was living in at the time. Because I was just like, here, if you move it, you can have this for free. It was a really nice TV set.
Oh,
but it was
they
worth
were
it.
great.
Yeah,
They
but
were
it was
awesome.
worth it just to get. It was worth it just to get it the hell out of my apartment, and I didn't have to get a hernia trying to move the fucking thing.
Yep.
I have never seen Deathgasm, Bronson. I don't even know. What
I
that
have.
is.
I have not seen Death Gas.
I have.
It's
We've
a Ouija. It's about like Norwegian black metal.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
fucking
yeah.
great movie.
Is it?
I love it. Why? Who?
Somebody just asked if we'd ever seen it.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. As a
Midnight
matter of fact,
Hour is another one.
I
that's
talk
in
it up to a couple of my friends. I have some friends that come over on the weekends sometimes and watch movies, and that's one of the movies that I said, one of these days we've got to put this on the to-watch pile because Deathgasm is a blast. That's
Okay.
one.
I might have to check
someone
that
ju-
one out.
Someone just asked about Midnight Hour. That's Disney, so don't hold your breath.
Yeah,
Ghoulies 3 needs a Vestron release.
that's
about
coming
that?
out from somebody.
What,
Best
Ghoulies
Tron.
3?
Isn't there a Ghoulies box set like overseas that has all the Ghoulies?
Oh, maybe
movies?
overseas, but yeah, I don't know of anything domestically.
Yeah, I think I
'cause
saw
that is
Ghoulies box
Lionsgate,
set.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And we've had
There's like
like 3 or 4 people asking about Lucifer Valentine movies.
What the hell
I
does
don't
that
know
have
what
to do
that
with anything?
is.
You don't want to
I
know.
have
You
no-
don't want to know.
Ignore that.
What do you think though about like there's companies like Visual Vengeance is doing Blu-rays on like shot on video movies and stuff. Have you seen anything about that?
Sorry.
What?
No.
Hey, why not? You know, I mean, who, you know, if you can do it in high def and you want to put it on Blu-ray, put it on Blu-ray. You know, I don't know. People, I mean, you know, people make a living doing that kind of stuff. You know,
I mean,
we get
people seem
offered.
to-
We
they
get
seem to
offered
buy.
movies like that all the time. Like a guy will be like, "I made a violent Viking saga, and I want you guys to see it." And it's like, yeah, he made it in his kitchen with like $33. You know,
You could do
But-
Luck or the Necrophagus on Blu-ray or 4K.
The Necrophagus.
yeah.
I
Well,
enjoyed
Lucker,
that
I don't
one.
know where the materials are for that. You know, he passed away, and we got the master from him because remember, when we did the DVD, it was the director's cut, right?
Right.
He had changed. He'd done some stuff and changed it around and added some things, and I was kind of against it, but you know, Jerry's like, "Look, it's Lucker. It's cool. Let's just do it." So we did it, but it was a master that he had created himself. So I have no idea where the material for that movie even is.
Luck of the Necrophagus.
I would love to. I mean, that would be great
have
to
it.
do.
That
again.
was one of the strangest movies that I've ever seen, but I did
Yes,
like
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but it's, you know, it's like one of those movies that everybody used to trade when we all had our VHS days. You know, everybody put, like, you get a VHS tape of like 3 movies in SLP mode, and Lucker would be like the last one on the tape. You know, that everybody
Yeah.
watched.
Simp McMahon is asking, "Hey pal, any details on Tales from the Crypt?" Hold on. I think it's a lawsuit, right, between the comics people and HBO. Is that why it's not?
I have no. Well, again, like we just said, Tales from the Crypt. It's a matter of going. You know, it was shot on or was edited on video, so you have to go back and do all that. It's too cost prohibitive.
Well, it's almost like they don't give a shit about that series though, because they're uploading full episodes, full seasons on YouTube. So it's kind of odd.
They just
like-
can't. Well, it's you know, it's one of those situations where it's just not on anyone's radar. If they do a new incarnation of Tales from the Crypt or a movie or something, then suddenly they'll give a shit. But
Wasn't
You
it
know, the
HBO that did those originally?
yeah, it was an HBO
So
show.
now that you've got that HBO Warner Brothers thing, that's probably the last thing on Warner Brothers' mind right now.
yeah,
They're canceling everything on that. You know, so hey, maybe I should. I work at the Warner lot sometimes when I'm out in LA. Maybe I should ask them about that.
Malfunction is asking. He's asking, "Will Horror's Hollowed Ground episode be on Trick or Treat?"
Wait, who's asking?
Who
Malfunction.
that Malfunction? Who?
That's Clark. It's Sean Clark. That's his.
I know. I was just.
Malfunction.
Hey, Sean.
Do I
Of
want?
course
So is
it
Sean
will be.
Clark's Horace Howler Ground's going to be there? Absolutely not. I would never have anything from Sean Clark on one of my releases. That's insane, I tell you. Insanity. No, actually, Sean has already. He when I spoke to him, I think last week, and Sean was very gracious about wanting to have it on there. So yes, we will make sure that Horace Howler.
I think he
Ground's on
told
there. If
us
you
he
haven't-
filmed it for a home video release, and like it kept getting delayed, and he was
I don't
like,
know.
"I'll put it out." You don't know?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen his one for the original Evil Dead that he just posted, it's fantastic. It's so good. He really,
I'll have to watch that.
he did a really great job with that because he goes down to Tennessee and checks out all the locations, and he's definitely done the best one of those for the original Evil Dead. Because there've been a lot of people have gone out and done some quick videos out on the cabin site, but his is really, really good. So I would encourage you to go check that out.
We got a couple more super chats. Ian Pillock, any insight to the scattershot approach to region locked discs these days? I don't know.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 4Ks. I mean, technically you can region lock 4Ks, but it's not really in the spec. You know, I think
Didn't
the
one
studios
company
kinda
do that
gave up.
recently?
Yeah, they tried to say they were going to start doing that here not too long ago.
Yeah, you give a region code lock to and somebody's going to crack it in days. You know, it's like a lost
Yeah,
cause.
it never. It was a complete waste of everyone's.
Yeah, and
region coding
nowadays
was a
you
waste
can
of
go to
time.
like 220electronics.com and buy a region free player for like not even $100, I guess. You know, or
It
whatever.
stops nothing.
They're right
It doesn't
around that.
impede anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
to
really,
do
only
anything.
the hardcores are going to be buying those, and they're hardcore enough to get the region-free
Right.
players.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of us
anyone-
out there. I mean, I have like all my players are region free, and I check Diabolic DVD like every other day. You know.
Yeah.
I'm buying shit. I mean, I just got some stuff yesterday from Diabolic. You know, it's like I spend way too much money on that foreign stuff sometimes.
I got this one in. Have you seen this one yet? The Phantasm 4K.
No, he's out of it. You know what? The funny thing is I buy stuff from him all the time. I mean, I talk to Jesse because we do deals and stuff like that with him selling steel books and slipcover stuff with us. So it didn't even dawn on me to even think about that because for some reason, I had it in my head that it had already come out here in 4K through Wellgo or whatever. And for some reason,
No, thank God it hasn't.
Have you opened it? How's it look?
I just got it. I haven't even opened it.
Where'd you
yet.
get it from? Did you get it from Diabolic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on like the mailing list where they email you when something comes back in stock,
Yeah.
and I'm always at
that
work.
shit
and
was
just-
sold out almost immediately.
Snap.
Well, yeah, and then I went, oh shit, wait, I should have ordered that because for some reason I thought Wellgo had put it out in 4K, and I was mistaken. So I just kind of skipped over it, and I shouldn't have. But you know, he said he might get some more in, so I told him to save me one. I'm just curious about how it looks. You know, if they're using that master or if they did something else.
Yeah. No, that's one that I was kind of surprised that because they did a big remaster on that a few years ago, right?
Mhm.
The Bad Robot and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you
Oh,
would
yeah.
think that they would want to get that 4K.
Well,
out.
I mean, with Phantasm, you know, what is this? This is May. So June, July, August, September, October. You know, if they were going to do if that's out in 4K now, maybe we'll go. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm not alluding to anything. I'm just speculating, but it might make sense for Wellgo to put it out for Halloween.
Yeah.
So I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I got to ask you this, Slippy, because I've been thinking about this since the last time that you were on the show. So the last time you were on the show, you brought up the fact that a long time back, I guess you had done like a series of audio. I guess you would call them like commentaries almost with George Romero about like while he was watching his films.
Yeah. With audio interviews, really, they weren't really commentaries per se, but
Right.
Yeah.
Is anything going on with that? Like you had said you were going to look into that or see if anything was going to.
It's nothing at the moment, but I've been thinking about it actually quite a bit lately, in terms of what we could do to. What I would like to do is maybe do a limited podcast run where we actually break all that material up into sections and release it that way, and do it something in conjunction with the George Romero Foundation, something to help promote the foundation. Because I would love for people to hear that material. It was really great to get, that George even had the idea and then he called me up to do it. It was an enormous privilege. For the longest time, it was hard for me to even think about listening to that stuff because we did it a couple years before he passed away, and George and I both were going to try and figure out back then what we wanted to do with it because there was no set goal in mind when we recorded it. It was just like, well, maybe we'll use it as sort of an archival thing if we want to do a book or an interactive thing. We didn't really know what we were going to do with it. He just wanted to do it, to have it.
Does the George Romero Foundation, do they have a Patreon page? Or no?
You know what? I'm not honestly sure.
That would be.
I know there's a
perfect
way to.
for like a Patreon subscription or something like that. Included.
Yeah, because there's enough material to do several podcast episodes that would cover, each of the not just each individual film, but like certain periods in his career, and then could cover a couple of different movies. Because I don't know how many hours of material it is, but it's a lot. Because we would watch in chronological order. We would watch every film he did, and then sit there talking about it for half hour, 45 minutes, an hour afterwards, and then move on to the next film and so forth and so on. So if and we did every movie he directed, and including, I think we even covered the Night remake too. I think we might have done that one. So it was, it was a real privilege, and I haven't listened to it really since we recorded it. So it'll be interesting to go back and hear, because it was just me sitting on his couch talking to him, for hours on end.
How long was this before he passed away? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I think I know we did some of it in 2016, and we might have done some in late 2015. There were a couple different sessions where I came up. I'd have to go back and look at my records, but I know some of it was definitely in 2016. Because oddly enough, I remember I got the call from Lionsgate while I was seeing George that they had greenlit starting up the Vestron collection. I remember that very vividly, and that was 2016. So that was... The last session would have been a little over a year before he passed away. That would have been around the time we did that. And I have it all on my computer still. It's backed up like 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's...
Do you recall what his intentions were? I mean, what did he want to do with it at the time?
Well, like I said, I think he wanted to do it just so that he had it. Because I think George, look, I don't want to speak for him because I don't know what but I think maybe just from my perspective, he saw it's like, well, this is something I want to do, and I can talk, and I'm in a position to talk and remember all this stuff. I think he just wanted to document his thoughts on all the work he'd done. That's just what I gathered from it. I can't speak for what he was thinking, but he certainly wasn't sick or anything at the time when we did any of that. It wasn't like he knew that all the end's coming. There wasn't anything like that. It was a very joyful thing. It was a really... I remember when I got the call, because him and his wife Suze were, they both talked about this, and I remember they called me and they said, we've had this idea. Would you be interested in coming up and doing this with George? I mean, is that something that you'd be interested? And they almost pitched it to me almost like they thought I might say no. And I'm like, yeah, no, I have no interest in that. Ew. I'm watching an NCIS marathon right now. I don't have time for this. Are you kidding me? I mean, I would have dropped, everything to do that. And it was pretty much like, you're 4 hours away, I'll be there in 2, click. It's just like, I couldn't have gotten up there fast enough. And it was really, I can't remember how many days it took to do this, because like I said, we divided it up into a couple sessions, because, it was a lot of material to go through, but it was one of the greatest privileges of my life to be able to do that. That he would even think of me to do that. He could have asked anybody, and he asked me to do it. It was an honor, and it was really special to be able to just sit there and be with we were friends, and so we were just, the interviews, if I'm remembering them correctly, were less me as a formal interviewer than me just kind of throwing stuff out and going back and forth and talking about stuff, and that was really, how that shit's not supposed to happen, and somehow it did. So, it would be very interesting for me to go back and revisit all that and hear that again, because after he passed away, that I thought about that stuff, but I was just like, oh, it's too soon. I can't really.
Right.
And it's hard to believe it's almost been 6 years now since he passed away, and it's still kind of like, oh, but it's great stuff, and I think people would really love to hear him ruminating on his own work in a way that was much more casual and laid back, where there wasn't like lights and a camera in his face. It was much more of a...
And a lot of these movies he probably hadn't seen in a long time, right?
No, actually, it was interesting. Yeah, several, especially some of the earlier ones. Like, There's Always Vanilla. He had not actually sat down and watched that since he made it, because that was not a very positive experience for him. Because he was right after Night, he was trying to do something different. He and the screenwriter were not getting along, and the screenwriter wasn't delivering stuff on time. And he did it more as a favor to that guy, and it was just kind of a weird situation. So after that movie was over, he just kind of went, all right, well, that's over with. Let's just get on to the next thing. So he didn't really, so he hadn't really sat down and watched it. And he was actually really surprised and said, you know what, Michael, this is not bad. I actually kind of like this. Because that movie captures a very specific moment in time where the culture was beginning to shift out of the 60s and into the 70s. And it was a period of the culture where it really only existed for about a year and a half. And he happened to make that movie right when that was going on. And so it's a fascinating time capsule. And I remember George really being kind of affected by that, going, wow, this really, I don't know if it's, we were both kind of like, I don't know if it's successful fully as a movie, but there's something interesting here. And his reactions to other films that we would watch is like, oh, I remember that being better than this. It's like, I'm not sure I quite get it here. And then other ones, just like, even George, who was not someone who went around going, I'm the greatest filmmaker of all time. He was a very humble guy, and he was always like, I could have done better. Oh, the next one will be better. There were times where some of his movies where he goes like, Mike, that was pretty good. It's like, that one turned out all right. So, I mean, it was really interesting to see him reacting to his own work, because these things marked him in time as a person and as an artist. And you can see such an evolutionary progression with him as a filmmaker from throughout, especially in the 70s going into the 80s, how much he changed and evolved as a filmmaker, and the things that he focused on in his movies. And for him for me to be able to witness that and interact with him as we did this night after night was, that was special. It was really special.
Well, you've got all those memories too. I mean, at some point in time, you can listen to it when you're ready to listen to it,
Yeah. Sorry, I went on a little bit long about that. I apologize.
Lighter topic, though, because I've seen this a couple of times. The thriller thing.
Yeah.
Now, you're a good term.
Is that a lighter topic?
It's so stupid because it's
like, that one's done. I'm going to sit this one out. I just want to hear this.
It's very simple. Yeah. We had the movie for God knows how many years, and our license expired, and Vinegar Syndrome bought. They unfortunately had to deal with Bourne and his son and get it all together, and we agreed to take it off the market. That's it. There's no. It's so stupid, because it's like all the internet invents so many. Like I was telling you earlier in the podcast, I was just talking to Joe. I talked to Joe this morning at Vinegar Syndrome. There's no animosity. There's no nothing. As a matter of fact, we have a signed document that says, in order to, preserve our friendship and our working relationship, we're gonna let it go. That's all. I mean, movies come and go. Like look at like Shout Factory. They have a movie for like a couple of years, and then they come out with a big list and say, all these movies are going out of print. Sorry. I mean, it happens. That's
Nothing's out of print.
But I don't understand. But Don, I don't understand. I read on the internet that Joe had put out a hit on you. I don't understand that. What?
No. We were just we're gonna work together. I mean, we worked together on Creature from Black Lake, for fuck's sake. I mean, and we're working with them on something else. As a matter of fact, Joe's is scanning something for us this week. So it's silly. And it's thriller. I mean, it's a great little movie, but
well, when you guys had that out, though, that was it was selling like crazy.
Right, I know. And Joe knew that too. But then the owner's like, look, just take it, can we just take, the copyright situation was always a little wonky on that one for the US. Our version that we put out is not the one that was copyrighted. We have the documentation from the Copyright Office. The only one that was copyrighted was the one from MGM. Our version, where we have all the porn and stuff, and it was never copyrighted in the US. But we're like, look, we've had it for a long time.
That's all. Yeah, that's the.
Huh?
You gotta get that version anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, fine. We we talked a lot. We were emailing back and forth, and we just said, no, forget it. You know, let them have it, let them take it, and they're successful with it. I think they're. I mean, we make. I think we made like when we announced that originally on DVD. That was back when Kill Bill was big, you know, and all that stuff. We sold 25,000 units of that stupid thing. You know, it was crazy. I mean, Best Buy wanted it.
Yeah, you know, Best Buy.
Well, they did. That's the yellow cover
editions.
one that we did. We took all the porn out and we gave that one to Best Buy. So, but there's no. That's ridiculous.
Best
you know,
Buy
it's
sold
all
some
internet
crazy shit
scuttlebutt
back
and
in the day,
hearsay.
They did,
you
yeah.
know.
He bought. We were
So-
talking about the Japanese.
I mean, the
guinea
real
pig
arch enemy
movies
of
were at
Joe
Best Buy.
Rubin was Bill Olson. So it was
Well, Bill Olson was the arch enemy of everybody at some
right,
point
exactly,
or another.
exactly.
You know, rest in peace, Bill. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
He may be the only dude or one of the only dudes that ever, like, after we did an interview, who was like, I want you to go back and edit the shit out of this interview. And we're like, what?
It
He's
was
like,
live, right?
Bill was a character, man. I mean, I can't speak to, you know, any personal relationship with the man. I never actually met him formally. I was an enemy in abstraction to him. You know, I was, you know, he compared me once to Idi Amin.
Jesus.
Was
Which
he in the Banana Man costume?
That's high praise.
well, it was in a form. He compared me to Idi Amin, and I'm just like, man, look, you know, I've committed my fair share of genocide, but I haven't posted nearly the numbers that Amin has. So I don't know where that comparison came in. So yeah, but that was, and I was, you know, people say, oh, you must have hated Bill. So I never hated Bill. I just could never understand where some of that stuff came from. Like the Idi Amin thing, I was just like, I wasn't offended. I'm just like, well, that was an interesting choice. Idi Amin.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not, it's like, so it was just, yeah, I never really could. And I always felt bad that he and I never met, because I think he and I would have had a lot of things in common, actually. I you know, and his brother, Walter, and I get along just fine. I've never had any problem with Walter at all. But I thought it was very sad that the way Bill got sick and the fact that he wasn't able to feel better in the last couple years of his life, and the way he went out, that shouldn't. I feel bad about that.
I
and
wouldn't
you know
wish
what?
that on anybody.
I
know,
wouldn't
it was
wish that
when I was actually-
on anyone.
When I was in the hospital and I was dying, I was like, well, maybe Bill and I will start our own label in heaven somewhere. Me and Bill will break bread and start a label up there.
So some of the dark, what is that? Dark Force Entertainment. I don't really know this guy, but he's a colorful character as well.
Yeah, I only met him.
Yeah, I
one
don't know
time
him.
at
I don't-
Chiller years ago.
I bumped into him. He would never remember meeting me, but I bumped into him once at a flashback weekend, I think. Because Sage Stallone was there with him or something.
Yeah.
Because they were promoting that Chaos movie, as I recall.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I met him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I just was like, oh, there's David DeFalco. There he is. Good.
Yeah.
But no, Bill was an interesting presence, and the world's a lot less interesting without him in it. I'll say that.
Popeyes, though. Little Voices asked about Popeyes a couple
Several
of times.
What is the Popeye incident?
I don't know who a little voice is. There's only can be
It's
one
Chris.
of two people. Oh, it is. I can't tell that story.
I think you should
can't-
now
I
for
can't.
sure.
He signed
Well,
the
the
NDA.
problem with this is something that happened to me on this trip. I can't tell the story because it uses a word that is not very appropriate. It's not the N word, but it's another word that would not go over very well if I used it. And you really can't tell the story without it because it's so absurd in the context in which it was used. It would just be like, what the fuck was this? Yeah, I would.
That's a cunt. That's a cunt right there.
That word.
Well, fuck you. Fuck you, Tony Moran. I don't need. What the hell was that? No, it's not that word. It's. All right. You know what? I'm gonna tell this story, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for telling it, and it's fine. But I want to make it very clear. I'm going to preface this by saying that I do not condone the use of some of the language in this. I'm simply repeating what this guy did. And you'll also understand that the way he used it, it's a little hard to get offended by it because it's so nonsensical what he said. Okay. I was in a drive-thru a few nights ago in a Popeye's Chicken. Okay. Now, it was kind of nice out, so I had the window rolled down a little bit, and there was one guy ahead of me. Now, this guy was in a pickup truck. This was somewhere in upstate New York. I can't remember. I'm on the road so much. And the guy's at the front, and he's ordering his meal, and I can hear him very clearly because he was very loud. And what he was ordering didn't really make sense. It was like he was misreading the menu or something. And he had a voice that was like this. I'm not doing a very good job of imitating his voice, but it sounded like this. Yeah, I want the spicy bucket with the biscuits and a Coke. And I'm like, okay. And I start kind of chuckling a little bit because he's funny. So it's like, I'm going to just like, no. And the woman no, pretty much. And it's like, oh. And so
extra
the
biscuits,
guy,
coleslaw, goddammit, come on.
That's pretty much almost what he sounded like. And anyway, the guy, the woman, the poor girl on the radio, on the drive-through speaker is like, so do you want the tenders meal or say no? I want the spicy chicken bucket and the biscuits and a Coke. And it's just, and this is a white guy, by the way. This is this total white guy. I need to make that clear in case anyone's wondering out there. I don't want to get in trouble for that. So anyway, the guy, this goes on back and forth a few times, and I'm about to crack up laughing at this point because the guy's just really being funny. But so I want to roll my window up because I don't want him to hear me laughing, but I don't want to miss any of this because it's fun. Anyway, she finally at some point says something that pisses this guy off. It's like he'd had enough. He couldn't get the order right. And so I seem to remember it was just like, so did you want that in spicy or did you want like the breast and the meat? I mean, it was like she was trying to clarify exactly what he wanted. And again, I don't condone what he said, okay? I want to make it very clear. But you'll understand why it's so funny because it's so fucking nonsensical. Let me make sure and I swear on my life, this is what I heard him say. Because again, he was very loud. It's just like, no! No! I'm sorry. Okay.
Breathe, Mike.
No.
Breathe.
Okay. Yeah, I almost, after he did this, I barely got my order out. I was laughing so hard. And I was on the road and I almost passed out twice. I laughed nonstop for 15 minutes after this. Okay. He said, and he's yelling at full blast. And then he drove off right after this. No! I don't want no stinky chicken faggot fucking bucket! And he started and he just drove off. And I'm like, what did he just fucking say? I don't know what that, and again, I don't condone what he said, but at the same time, I guess he used the F word that he shouldn't have used, but it's one of those situations where it's like, hey, that's not what? It's just, so yeah, he said for what I heard, he said a stinky chicken, fuck it bucket. and I couldn't stop laughing for like at least a full half hour. Every time I would stop thinking about it, it would pop back in my head, and I would almost run the fucking car off the road. But it was just stinky chicken, fucking bucket. He just drove off.
You should have ordered that when you got up to the window.
And I wasn't there to hear it, obviously, but the girl behind in the drive-thru, what she heard from me, the order say, "Hi, from this is Popeye's. Can I take your order?" I I get the chicken spicy chicken? You know, it was just I don't know how they got my order right because I barely was able to get it out. And I know they didn't hear it because when I got up there, nobody was laughing. So it's like, no, they didn't hear it because if they had, they would have all been on the floor. So, I don't know. It was like, was he a chicken homophobe? I don't know how. It's like, I don't. So please don't cancel me because of what I heard this guy say. And I only repeated it because I want people out there to maybe understand it's kind of hard to get offended by it because it's like, well, what does it even mean? I don't, huh? So, look, it's, oh, God, I was laughing so hard.
Super chats real quick here. T-Money86, $15 super chat. Appreciate it, man. Dawn, you don't know this, but it was you that introduced or that first turned me on to Diabolic. Asked Jesse how many movies I've purchased from him over. Yeah, this is Turi, I think.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I buy hundreds of dollars of stuff from him at a time, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I have a media room downstairs. I built it, when I moved into this house, it's almost 16 years ago. And I built that room downstairs, and Mike has seen it. It's finally full. I built a whole room for my Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff. And it took 16 years, but now I'm out of space.
And there's always been boxes of stuff on the floor in there. It's never been. Yeah. You've always, right from the beginning, that was that way. So it was damn near full from the beginning. So
yeah, but I consolidate, and if another version comes out, I'll put the old disc and the new disc in the sleeve and put it away, and it's like, well, I have no more room now. Every shelf is, packed.
Well, and you've gotten rid of
and most of it's Diabolic stuff.
Yeah, and you've gotten rid of all your DVDs and stuff. You don't have any more of those, right?
I have DVDs. I put them in.
He has more than you'd think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in your main store, your main movie room.
There's DVDs all over his house.
Not anymore.
Everywhere.
I put them all in storage.
I would love to see like a tour of that room. I just love
maybe next time. If I wasn't sick and couldn't get up and down the stairs without my legs feeling like I wanted to chop them off, I'd go down there. But hopefully they'll get whatever's wrong with me figured out, and I'll be able to walk okay. Because of I was going to go to Shock Stock this weekend. I was going to drive up there, but I can't. So anybody who was looking forward to, our booth will be there. We'll have people up there. I was going to be there for Shock Stock, but I can't drive that far. My legs are like full of fluid, and I can't walk. And
well, you know what might make you feel better is maybe go get a fucking bucket from Popeyes.
Right.
See if, whatever.
Go get some
whatever
Popeyes
the hell that
chicken.
is. Yeah, I don't.
Here's a bunch. Home Sweet Home, the Supernaturals, Funeral Home, Cheerleader Camp, Return to Horror High.
It's like every.
I thought Body Count was already out. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, someone
it is.
did Body Count.
Kino
Yes,
put it out. It's out on Blu-ray. Yeah.
Home Sweet Home, fuck if I know. Supernaturals has a rights issue. I think Funeral Home, someone's bringing out. I think
someone's bringing it out.
Cheerleader Camp is a rights problem. Return to Horror High is over at Lakeshore, and Body Count's come out. So that's what I know.
Funeral Home. We were offered Funeral Home not long ago, and there was a bidding war between the three of us, and it got too high. I was like, I love Funeral Home, but this is where we draw the line.
The rent is just too damn high.
Yeah, and I just said no, and it went to somebody else. So. It's coming. I just don't know when.
Dick Fitz.
Dick
There's a guy named Dick.
He's a regular.
Dick Fitzwell?
Yeah, he's a regular on the show.
No stream.
Okay. Why is Iron Eagle 2 on Blu-ray and not the first one? That's the eternal question.
That's a good question. You can get a really good-looking version of Iron Eagle 2 of Iron Eagle 1 on one of the services has it like remastered. It might be Amazon, but the there was like a widescreen version of Iron Eagle that was playing for a long time that did not look very good. And then on one of the services, whether it's Vudu or Amazon or or iTunes, one of those places, they remastered Iron Eagle and it looks 1,000 times better than it used to, and it's up in high def. But no
I thought
physical
Sony
media.
had that one. I thought Sony had the first Iron Eagle.
Yeah, maybe they just...
I don't remember.
Yeah, but there is a good-looking high-def version of Iron Eagle on one of the services somewhere, because I just watched it not long ago.
A couple people are saying Body Count isn't out or hasn't been announced.
I'm trying to find it. I own the fucking Blu-ray. I'm trying to find it right now so these people can
Which one?
see it. Body Count.
Oh, yeah, because Body Count I thought was out.
Oh yeah, is Synapse still doing Crocodile?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's going to be, it's in authoring right now. It's going to be a slipcover between us and Diabolic. So it'll be like our Black Circle, Invaluable, and that kind of thing, where we sell the slipcover version with Synapse and Diabolic. And yeah, it's done. Took us a while. An interesting story is we finally found the quote unquote real director of Crocodile. It's Sampot Sands is credited as the director, but it wasn't really him. So we got an interview with the real director of the Crocodile Fangs original version, and we got a commentary by Lee Gambin, and we got some deleted scenes. Yes, we know that there's a million different versions of this movie out in all different countries, and we do have some deleted scenes. And it's in authoring now, so as soon as it's done, we'll be announcing it through Synapse and Diabolic.
Cool.
Hopefully within the next couple of months. Yeah. I'd like to have it done by June.
Well, guys, Uncle Bill, do you have anything else?
Yeah, Slippy. Nightmare on Elm Street. When and
Next year.
Where can we expect that to be coming out from? Also, a two-part question. The second part being, what are you actually doing in Pittsburgh? I'm just going to go over here real quick.
I'm looking for this rare cowboy doll to sell to some guys in Japan.
What the hell are you looking for?
I'm still trying to find my copy of fucking Diodado's Body Count so I can show these people that it actually exists, but I can't find it.
So, any more Argento titles? Opera and Inferno. Those are the two big ones, I guess.
I don't know what the status is on Inferno with the Fox thing and the Disney thing. Yeah. I mean, because Fox had some rights to Suspiria, and when we did Suspiria, and we had a really good working relationship with Fox. We were, there was that time we were showing it all over the place with our DCP, and everything
and
was
Disney thing happened.
Yeah, and then Disney came along, fired everybody that we knew, and then we got a letter from Disney that wasn't even it wasn't even pleasant. It was not like, hey guys, now that we own Fox, please don't show the movie. It was, we know you've been showing the movie and you're not allowed to anymore. And if you do, we're going to sue you. And it's like, well, gee, welcome. It was just like, now that they basically said, we don't give a shit about this movie in the theaters. We've got other priorities. And if you guys do it, then we're going to sue you. So you cannot continue to show Suspiria in theaters. And I'm like, we made something like 10 or 20 DCPs for Fox, and they have them there still, and they're not going to exploit it anymore. I mean, I've seen it playing in theaters like the art institutes and stuff around, but I don't think that Fox or Disney even knows that that's happening. But it's not our version.
Now,
but Inferno might be under the same.
Yeah,
problem.
I think it might have some. Yeah. Now, Bronson Wright Wolf just paid $10 to ask this question.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Spider-Man villain? Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, Topher Grace as Venom, or James Franco as the new Goblin. Don, would you like to start with this?
I'm an Alfred Molina guy. Doc Ock. He was my favorite in the comics too.
That's my go-to, was it be Alfred Molina, although I do really love what Willem Dafoe did.
That's who I
Yeah, he was great too.
There you
But
go.
Doc Ock
Yeah,
was
those
always
are-
my favorite Spider-Man villain, even in the comics as a kid. So
Yeah. And they were
Gotta
both
go
great
with
in
that.
No Way Home, so it was great seeing them both again in that.
yeah.
So that would be my choices.
What about you, Uncle Bill?
It's got to be Defoe. Yeah,
He's good. He's the best at playing just a crazy fucker. I mean, you know.
Well, yeah, he does specialize in that sort of thing.
You're weak. Just the way he does that line where he's talking to himself in the it's amazing.
But guys,
that's
yeah,
a
it's
neat trick.
we're way past 2 hours. We normally. Are you good? Are you good, Don?
Yeah. My mouth is actually feeling a little better. It's not as swollen.
Felsher's,
I was all worried about that.
Felsher's
I was worried that I
chair
was
is
gonna like
melting
as
now.
we were going, I was worried that my mouth was gonna slowly start to like close up and I'd be like and I'd start talking like the Elephant Man. But no, I'm okay.
It's I
But
mean,
you-
it seems like
You have to stay alive until we finish Trick or Treat. Then you can do whatever you want. You know.
This
fuck it.
folks is what happens when you get the new booster from Pfizer.
I will not be getting that fucking booster then. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
I'm not getting that booster.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
no.
not gonna.
Well, to be fair, they think it actually the angioedema is what this is called, and it like flares up just randomly at just random times. Like, and they tell me that it's going to keep happening for like up to 12 months. They think the Pfizer, the bivalent vaccine, interacted with a medication that I've been taking for like 8 years, and like caused an allergy or something. So they immediately took me off of this medication that I've been taking for 8 years perfectly fine. I got the booster, and within 2 hours I was in the hospital with a closed up throat. So, but you know, and that was October, and it's what, May, and I'm still getting this. It's not as bad as it used to be. I mean, my whole face was swollen before, but it's the vaccine, the booster did this to me, and it's still having an effect on me 6 months
weird.
later.
It's weird, Don, because I just got over the second bout of COVID that I've had. I just got it like about a week ago, something like that, again, and this time it lasted like 2 days and then just completely went away. The first time it was like fucking week and a half, just pure misery, and then this time
They're not allowing me to get any more boosters. Like all of my doctors are like, even if you wanted to get a booster, you don't want it because of this.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So it goes away after like 8. And I'll go to bed tonight. I'll wake up and this will be gone in the morning.
I can already tell it's going down quite a bit since we started.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah.
Another Bronson Wright Wolf super chat. Bruce Campbell's cameos in Spider-Man. I only knew he had. I thought in the first one.
I didn't know he had.
No, he's in all three. In the first one, he plays the wrestling announcer. In the second one, he's the guy at the theater, the usher at the theater who won't let Peter Parker in. And then in the third one, he's a French restaurant waiter.
The French waiter guy.
Yeah, that's and my favorite of my favorite of the three. I love the wrestling one, but I actually like the theater usher because he's very like, no, you can't come in. He actually, I think Bruce says he's the only guy who's ever defeated Spider-Man because he actually won't let him in to see Mary Jane's performance. So it's like, he names Spider-Man, he defeats Spider-Man, and then he tries to help Spider-Man get engaged. So I would go with the second one.
I got to go with the first one because that's the only one I remembered.
Me too.
He was on there with Bonesaw McGraw, yeah.
Bonesaw, he's ready.
I totally marked that when I saw that because I didn't know Macho Man was even in the movie.
Okay.
That's fucking killer. But, yeah, guys, we appreciate you coming on and taking the time and everything.
Sure.
And hopefully, your health continues to get better.
I hope so.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean, last 12 months has been a roller coaster for me, So
Bronson Wright Wolf, stop asking Spider-Man questions.
wait,
He keeps super chatting those.
Evil Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3.
I did not like Spider-Man 3.
I didn't either. I watched it one time.
And I really wouldn't call that guy evil Peter Parker. He was more like really
Evil
annoying,
Peter Parker.
pissed off, shitty Peter Parker. Yeah.
The House with Laughing Windows.
You
I don't
know,
know anything
who
about
put that
that.
out last?
Didn't Image have that out at one point?
Yeah, on DVD.
Or was it?
something.
Some other company put it out. I can't remember.
Yeah,
It wasn't
that's a
Raro.
good
It
one.
was some. Yeah, no.
I like
I
that
don't know
movie.
who. I don't know
I
who
don't know
has
who
it now
owns
or
it,
what's
yeah.
going on with it.
Well, thank you, Kyle. He was
But,
like sad jazz Peter Parker.
Sad jazz part.
Yeah.
Yeah, but guys, yeah, we'll have to do this again. Hopefully this can
Yeah.
become like a yearly thing at least, or maybe
Sure.
every...
I mean, I'll come back anytime as long as the angioedema doesn't attack me an hour before I'm supposed to come on.
And yeah, we've had
Well,
a ton of people watching us live, so we appreciate all you guys checking it out. It's been over 200 pretty much the entire night, so
Well, that's cool.
that's pretty big
I mean,
for
this
us.
is it's a huge deal though that you guys actually got Trick or Treat out, because that's one that people have been asking
I
about
know.
for like
Yeah.
years.
I've been trying to get that for well over a decade, trying to get that sorted out or someone to release it. And so the fact that we were able to make it work, and that Don's the one that's going to be on the technical side, so that it can actually come out and no one's going to, knock on wood, it's not going to get recalled for any stupid ass
Right.
reason. Yeah. So it's I'm really very excited about this. I'm actually, out of everyone who's working on it right now, I'm probably the one that's least excited visibly, because I don't want to get too excited. But when that thing comes out, I'm going to be the happiest motherfucker you've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, it should. I'll have a Vimeo link for you later tonight with the subtitles, so
Oh, good.
you can go through them and make sure I didn't miss anything.
I doubt you did.
You never. I mean, I've been through it now 3 times because DaVinci Resolve crashed halfway through my first time.
Wow.
But and I lost like 5 hours of work, and I got really pissed. And
So
I was like,
are you typing the subtitles out? Is that what
who?
you
What?
Are you typing the subtitles out
Yes.
yourself?
Yes.
Holy
What
shit.
the shit?
I didn't know you did that.
God.
Just the English stuff. I don't do. I always do it like. Well, I like to do it myself because I'm just that way.
That's hardcore
You
right
know,
there.
it's incredibly tedious. But like for the SDH stuff with like the brackets, the door shutting,
Freeze
and all
shuffling, yeah.
the musical notes and stuff. I don't do that. I'll just do the English dialogue, and then I'll hand it off to another company to do the SDH part. But it saves us some money, for me to do them myself. And I just thought, to save us money, because Trick or Treat's going to be an expensive project. I thought any way I can help save some money for all of us, I'll do it myself. So
Cool.
I just decided to do it.
Bronson
I've done it
Wright Wolf
before.
says, yeah.
Bronson
Bronson Wright Wolf says, I apologize for all of these questions.
Yeah, and he paid you $2 to say
Yeah, he paid you $2. He didn't. That's the least amount that he doesn't. I don't think his apology is that sincere, because he's only donated $2 for
Instead
the
of
apology.
We need
Yeah,
a
$5 and
$5
$10 for all the
apology.
other ones.
No,
Yeah,
but Bronson, we appreciate it. I mean, even though
yeah.
Spider-Man, I don't know what that had to do with anything we were talking about. But
But you got money off of it. You made money off of Spider-Man.
yeah,
So,
but
and
guys,
I'll be happy. I'll be happy to come back anytime, as long as I'm not traveling overseas trying to sell off some rare collectible toys or something.
Right, exactly.
cool. But yeah, guys, thanks again. Appreciate everybody tuning in and everything. And yeah, this is only the first episode in our month-long series of
The fuck was that?
I think somebody had too much Taco Bell.
From the bowels of hell.
Hey!
The sad.
But yeah, guys, thanks again, and we will catch you guys next time. Dead Pit.
Thanks, guys.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
not.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on
No,
YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to touch nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
Hey folks, it's Oak Early Jaws. I might be banned off of YouTube, but that doesn't mean I can get you some great shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. First, we got Steve Benningfield post goes against our community standards in nudity or sexual activity. We got the deadpitch.com shirt. We got Cardboard. We got L Lord. We got Tales from the Dark Side. We got Dead Pit. And we got a Princess Puffin shirt, boss. It doesn't get any fucking better. Brandon had the accident. Aww. But these shirts just get better and better, boss. You gotta go over to shop.deadpit.com and pick you up some shirts right fucking now. What are you fucking waiting for? Do it. Do it now, because Old Curly Jaw said so.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.